an entrepreneur, a philanthropist with about 30 years of experience in Nigeria's corporate world in the field of power, hospitality, energy, banking, commercial, retail, investment, and international. Mr. Ozigbo is a purposeful and emotionally intelligent figure. Val was the candidate of the People's Democratic Party for the November 2021 Anambra governorship election. And now he's aspiring to be the Labour Party governorship candidate in the forthcoming 2025 Anambra governorship election. Val was the special advisor to Mr. Peter Obi on technology and strategic alliance, and also supported Mr. Obi's fundraising campaign. In March 2020, Mr. Ozigbo resigned from his job at the helm of Transcorp PLC. We know Transcorp PLC, all of us, to dedicate the next chapter of his life to public service. He joined the race for the governorship of Anambra State in the same year. And in less than 2 years, he had built one of the most efficient and impactful political organizations in Anambra at that time. His Kanambra Chawapo, if you follow the Anambra past governorship election, Kanambra Chawapo will sound very familiar to you. Kanambra Chawapo means a better and brighter Anambra. It's a message that resonated with the people, igniting the most significant political movement in the southeast of Nigeria. On 26 June 2026, Valentine won the keenly contested gubernatorial primary of the People's Democratic Party. If you're from Anambra State, you will know what it means to even emerge as the candidate of the PDP in that state. His emergence as the party's flag bearer is one of the most inspirational stories in Nigeria's recent political history. Val is a grassroots favorite. Analysts rated him the most likely to win the November 6, 2021 election. I personally, before the last Anambra governorship election, my news band conducted an interview with almost all the governorship aspirants, starting from the party primary level, APC, PDP at that time. And eventually I conducted a poll among the people who joined my programs at that time to vote of all the people I've interviewed, who do you think is the most qualified to win that Anambra governorship election? And Val easily come out tops. You can Google it, go and verify. It's all over the media. So a month after that controversial election anyway, Val emerged as the winner of the coveted Anambra Man of the Year 2021 award, which was decided through a public poll. At the award ceremony held on January 6, 2022, the organizer celebrated Ozigbo for his brand of refined politics, one of dignity and respect. A multiple award-winning global CEO, Mr. Ozigbo is the immediate past president and group CEO of Transnational Corporation of Nigeria, Transcorp, one of Africa's largest conglomerates, which includes Transcorp Power PLC, one of the largest power generating companies in Nigeria, Transcorp Hotels, the owners of Transcorp Hilton, Abuja, the leading business hotel in Africa, Transcorp Hotels, Calabar, and Transcorp OPL 281, an oil and gas company. Val stepped down from the role in March 2020 and retained his seat on the board of Transcorp PLC, the board of Transcorp Hotels PLC, and the board of Transcorp Power Limited. He finally resigned from all Transcorp board positions in April 2021 as the primary elections drew near. Mr. Ozigbo was elevated to the role of president and group CEO of Transcorp PLC after initially holding the position of managing director CEO of the former subsidiary, Transcorp Hotel PLC, for 7 years, during which he led a $100 million project that saw Transcorp Hilton Abuja undergo a globally celebrated transformation and upgrade. He won several internationally coveted awards in the hospitality industry, including the 7 Stars Luxury Hospitality CEO of the Year 2016, which he received in Spain. In October 2019, the respected business leader was voted 7 Stars Hospitality Personality of the Year in Athens, Greece. Well, should I go on? I told you, if you know Val, he's a man of many parts. Even before becoming a director, Val had for 17 years, top position in general manager, where he was director of Global Transaction Banking, division of the leading bank. His decorated career spanned Nile Merchant Bank, now part of Sterling Bank PLC, Diamond Bank PLC, now Access Bank PLC, Continental Trust Bank Limited, now part of UBA, FSB International Bank, now part of Fidelity Bank PLC, United Bank for Africa PLC, and Keystone Bank Limited, formerly Bank PHB, from where he was headhunted into Transcorp. Val has an impressive record for academic excellence. In 2024, he was awarded honorary doctorate in public administration by Trans-Asia University. In 2019, Val was one of the pioneers of the Global CEO program undertaken by Lagos Business School, SSBS Nairobi, LES in New York, and was elected president of the pioneer class. In 2003, he was awarded the prestigious Chevening Scholarship by the British Foreign and Commonwealth Office. Let's not talk about his fellow and all the boards that Val is sitting on. Let's not talk about how he managed to climb up from, just an ordinary person like all of us, but through a dint of hard work, academic excellence, he emerged to where he is today. But particularly where I find Val most interesting in his area of football development, Val is championing a particular brand of, I don't know whether we follow what he did in Egypt. I think it was last year. But so in the brand of football, he's trying to help young people to develop their talent. Val is the chairman of Fit and Tricks Limited, the exclusive promoters of lifestyle football in Africa, in partnership with the World Freestyle Football Association. Yeah, they call that type of football freestyle. Recently, the WFFA appointed him on the global board of first ever non-executive director and leader in Africa. He has remained the highest promoter of freestyle football in Africa. So, Val is married with children. Ladies and gentlemen, so this is the man that we want to speak to us tonight, and without I'm not wasting, I'm sure, but without taking much more of your time, let's listen to Mr. Val Ozigbo. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I am deeply, deeply, deeply grateful to DADA and to all of you for finding time to be here with us. Just like Dan mentioned, it's been a very long day. Started off in Anambra State, where I had about 6 different events in different towns, finished up, rushed to catch a flight, landed in Lagos, moved to Ikoyi, where Alex Oti was being received and celebrated by some group of friends. And he walked in there with the governor of Lagos State, and so we had 2 governors. And I had the honor of speaking at that event and finished maybe about 8:20 p.m. Started rushing to my house, and I'm just entering my house first time in the last 1 month. And so just got in, just said to them, clear the way, I have a Zoom call right now, and this is how I'm here. Because I am always very excited to speak to Nigerians, particularly the diaspora. And you'll understand why when I say a few things. So forgive me, I don't think I have the kind of readiness that I would have liked to be. Slept, woken up to a brighter, look. So forgive however I look today, because it's something I had to do. If I had my way, I would have said, please, let's find another day. But it's better now than later. So welcome to all of you. I've seen a lot of my friends here. I've scrolled through to see the wonderful people that are here. I've seen both those in Nigeria, and though most of you outside of Nigeria. And so it is an honor. And it will be nice to see some of the faces. Only a few people have their videos on. And, thank God for technology. Anyway, so what I want to say to you today is probably what you know already. But at the risk of repeating this, what you already know, I think it's something worthwhile to say as many times as possible. Because as far as I'm concerned, there's nothing else more important than this conversation, nothing else. And I say this with every sense of seriousness. Indeed, nothing else. It is about our dignity. as Black people in this world. It's about changing the story for good. Before I go into a few slides that I put together, I'm going to share my screen shortly. I just want to let you know a few things, set the context before I go into that slide. Our story is disheartening. And when I use the word our, I'm referring to us in Africa, us in Nigeria, and all parts of Africa. I'm also referring to us in the diaspora, you guys who live in a much better environment, but the same story affects all of us. I'm also referring to us in the Caribbean. Those are Africans who were taken away from us 400 years ago. Our stories are the same. And what is that story? It's a story of how we are being looked down upon, both by reasons that we have created ourselves, and some reasons that even with all our hard work, dint of commitment and all that, we're being addressed the way we don't want to be addressed. Because a lot of what happens around us, it's not necessarily who we are, but the way we have been painted. But we have also done enough to justify being painted as such. Today is not a day to go into the past. It's not a day to look at why are things this bad. It's not a day to ask and give blames to all the people that are to be blamed, because indeed all of us should take on the responsibility and look for nobody else to blame but ourselves, because that's the only time that a change can happen. For me, the most important mission for every single one of us, and particularly for me, is to see how we can change positively the narrative, the story of Black man in this world. And I've thought and introspected deeply about this. I've, looked around me and traveled to different continents and asking simple questions. Is this how we have been created? Is this how we've been, condemned to become for the rest of our lives? Can the story change? I can tell you all about the story. You know all the stories. Can't that story change? If we gather 1,000 Black people in this room and a white man walks in, I can tell you majority would think that white man is superior. Why? I am offended by this. I am totally uncomfortable with this status quo, and that status quo must change. This is the only reason I left a thriving career under no pressure, abandoned it because I wanted to tell my God, I tried my best in changing the story. And in what we're going to speak to today, I also want to commend the diaspora for what they've been doing, but to challenge us more, because there are a lot more we can do than what we have done in the past. I want us to honestly get into this conversation with everything in us, because there's a lot to do and we have little time, because this must change in our own generation. We can't keep on passing to our younger ones worse society than we have met. The story has to change. This is why I'm commending DADA for this conversation. There's a lot we can do, and I like to tie the knots and point us in the right direction. Hopefully, we can get inspired into positive action, and we can be proud of what our continent, our race can become in our own lifetime. For those who are worried about the hacking, I actually was expecting that. When serious business, when good thing is about to happen, there's always that temptation. And I'm happy and I'm honored that the hackers are having sleepless nights looking for how to interfere. But guess what? If you're listening to us, I know you're not here anymore, you're a failure. Let's move on to our conversation. So I'm going to share my screen now. I I have a couple of thoughts I would like to develop further, but I didn't have enough time to do so. So you pardon me. Please do confirm to me if you're seeing my screen.
Yes, we are.
All right. So again, thank you to Diaspora Action for Democracy in Africa. Some of the slides here I took from our earlier presentations we had with a couple of my friends, Tony J. Ikeme and Nexus C and Robert Mosel and a few. So on this, they'll be very familiar with some of our conversation today because we've been on this. This is not our first time engaging in this. And I have to again thank the wider obedient world. They have made us proud. They have given us a reason to believe that we can actually take the right decision when we find a reason for such. This is our story. It's a story of bad governance. It's a story of selfishness and tribalism. A story of corruption, poverty, poor planning, poor institutions, lawlessness, incompetence, poor infrastructure, thuggery, rent-seeking, lack of vision, and more. You can add more to this. And this is a story that must change. I don't know if you have an idea how it can change. Please come on board. I have my writing notes to take notes and learn from others. But I have engaged quite a lot of people, and it's clear in my mind what needs to happen. The things that we need to do that can actually help us in changing the story. And that's what I want to share. And obviously, if you look at the topic of today, diaspora influence in the development of democracy in Africa, you will see why there are two important words here, diaspora and democracy. These two words are so important. We can't make progress without these two. And I bring this back to Nigeria because we're home to the highest number of Black people in the world. And these are the headlines. These are the headlines. And particularly those of you who are living outside of Nigerian shores. You get worried. You get worried. And I bring you home to my state, Anambra State. We were promised all manner of things, including Africa, Dubai, Taiwan. We're getting nothing near that. We have to shift the narrative. Evil thrive in our society because good people shy away from the fight. There are more reasons than this, but it's time for us to say enough is enough. Last year was an incredible, trajectory. We had reason to be hopeful once more about Nigeria. What Peter Obi led, the fight, the struggle was incredible, was inspiring. If there's anything that's given me, joy, excitement, that was accompanying him in most of the places to, pass on those messages. I engaged with a lot of you in the diaspora. We saw each other, we interacted while our leader was taking on that mantle. And guess what? From nothing, with a party that is relatively unknown, without any structure, he was able to win this election. Forget the fact that, he wasn't declared winner. The fact that we could get to where we got to, and majority of Nigerians from all walks of life, from all sectors, from all ethnic background, from all religion, came together to push this man into where we got to. It just took a few people who ganged up to say, no. We allowed it. We allowed it. We haven't said enough is enough, because if we had said that, that wouldn't have happened. Or if they tried it, there would have been consequences. Today, there are no consequences. People have moved on. And I'm hoping that such will never happen again in our lifetime. such will never happen again. This is now about time we actually get to enough is enough. There are two primary choices in life: to accept conditions as they exist, or accept the responsibility for changing them. Stop blaming others. There are some people that will tell you, oh, it was P2B that caused it. He didn't tell us to go to the streets. Did he have to? Did he really have to? You don't know what is right? We were simply selfish. Nobody wanted to be hurt. Some have even told me, why should I be hurt? You should be the one to lead the fight. Let him be hurt first. Anyway, our selfishness hasn't led us. This blame goes to every single one of you, myself included. What are we going to do next going forward? I want us to understand that if we really want to solve any problem, the best and the first thing to do is go into the root cause. We've got to go back and say to ourselves, how did all this happen? And what do we need to do to orchestrate that change? The time has come for the global Africa to stop whining and start strategizing. And the strategy, that's what we're going to do now. We've got to take charge. What is global Africa? Global Africa means those of us in Africa, those of you in diaspora, and those of us in the Caribbean. That's what we mean by global Africa. It's time for us to come together. And this is the important slide I want you to pay attention to. I have said this, and I'm proud to say it anytime, that if the story of Black man can change in this world, God made Nigeria special. We are the places it has to start for different reasons. And I can go on and on and on. We are the largest. We are the most endowed. We are the most talented. God made us specially. And we're the most diverse. If we don't change Nigeria, every other thing we do in the other parts of the world, we're wasting our time. This is where it has to happen for it to be catalytic, so that that's when it spreads, boom, to other places. People get inspired. If you think about what's even happening in the Western world, there's just a few countries doing this and carrying other people along. Nigeria is the country that will do so. And if you come to Nigeria, they call us the Southeast, but some of us call ourselves the Jews of Africa. Yes, you hear me right. We don't have to even descend from the Israelites. The fact that our story is similar to the Jews, and I will talk about those experiences. I feel that the Gemba is where it happens and where it should happen. The fact that the Southeasterners, the Igbos, are spread in different parts of Nigeria and Africa and in the world more than any other tribe is a reason why we are special. The fact that if you come to, mention the sectors, literary world, entertainment, politics, who led independence, everything, who has the money. There's a reason why God has made us. I feel that we in the Southeast should assume responsibility and know that the rest of the world of Black people are expecting a change. We've got to set the standard, and then it begins to explode. What do we need to do? There are three most important things that we've got to get right. Political leadership, particularly the recruitment process. We have to set a standard where people who get onto leadership come out of a carefully designed process, not by accident, not error. I feel that the problem we've had is that sometimes we can get a good person, take one step forward, and then we'll have a wrong person take multiple steps back, because that good person didn't get there by design. He just stumbled and got there by accident. Even P2B's almost emergence wasn't by design. A Nigerian system can't throw up a person like Peter. Peter is an exception, but that should be the norm. We should have a P2P everywhere, but that's not the case. We should have Alex Oti everywhere, but that's not the case. But if we design it well, it will be the case consistently. And until we do it like that, forget it. You get it right. And I like what they were telling Alex Oti today, just a few minutes ago. Your succession plan is important because who succeeds you? He can mess up all the things we're talking about Abia State. Same thing happened in Anambra State. Anambra was a place I called home. I was so excited to be called on Anambra. But today, it is the other states Amalaya too. They give example with other states. Unfortunate. What I'm saying to you is that this is the game bar. This is where it must start, political leadership. And I will go into what the diaspora had, to contribute in achieving the right recruitment process. Citizenship is another. How do we become the type of citizens that Nigeria deserves? Nigeria deserves active, positive-minded citizens, not some docile people who allow all forms of criminality to be perpetrated, and they do nothing. Are you the type of citizen that will wait for things to happen or even wonder what has happened? Or do you want to be a citizen that will make things happen? Please be that citizen that makes things happen. Are you a selfish citizen that thinks only about himself, or a tribal bigot that thinks about just his barack or his friends, his church, his whatever? Are you somebody who is enlightened, who has what we call enlightened self-interest, who pursues common good? What is good for the goose is good for the gander. That's what we're begging for. So be an active citizen who wishes for common good. How do we achieve this? There are many ways to achieve this. This type of conversation helps to inspire people. Also getting the right leadership can help to inspire the right citizenship. Also through enforcement, when there are consequences, when people understand that if you obey traffic light, there's a consequence. If you steal, there's a consequence. If you rape, there's a consequence. If you kill, there's a consequence. If you steal, until we get to that level, my brother, my sister were in trouble. This story, Biko Munnem, this story has to change. We need everybody on hand, on deck. The next is the culture. I talk about culture all the time. When I say culture, people don't even understand it. The thing is just Omenana, the one with our great-grandfather. No, that's actually the one I want us to change, particularly if they are expired. That's the one I want us to keep if they're still relevant. It's about challenging the status quo. That's the culture I'm looking for. A culture that challenges the status quo. That's what I call Kaizen culture, a change for the better. That every single thing must be interrogated. If you tell me this is how they used to do it, I'm going to ask you, is that a better way of doing it? Think through it. I have given this lecture at least in 100 places where I say to people, don't tell me about how our great-grandfather used to do it. If I go to your village, if I come to my village, and everything is still the same way, I am in trouble. I am upset about that village. It cannot be. How come we saw how people were throwing kites? Eventually it became a aeroplane. They were challenging the status quo. Same thing with sheep, same thing. And guess what? And all of this is about when you go into in a classroom environment, education environment, we call it research and development. Go into a corporate world, call it efficiency models. Kaizen culture, a change for the better, is a change that challenges every status quo. It's a culture that challenges every status quo. When that bomb hit on Japan, the Hiroshima bomb, it was this type of culture that took Japan to become second largest in the world in terms of GDP. Within 10 years, they don't have two heads. We can replicate the same thing. And you don't need political leadership to inspire this. With the right leadership, it can move faster. But we can on our own decide, you know what? We must challenge every status quo. Don't go to a meeting and say the younger one should sit down when the elders are talking. It doesn't make sense to me. Meanwhile, the younger one may be the CEO of a global corporation. The elders come there to work for him. Let's challenge status quo. I am not asking for us not to respect our elders, but we must hear from everybody. Don't tell me the women are to be relegated because in the golden days, who are women? Don't tell me that. We've got to fire on all cylinders. Women their voice must be heard. We must challenge every status quo. We bring this upon us. Do you know what we do? We celebrate status quo instead of challenge status quo. That's why anything we do, we keep celebrating that, even when it's expired. These are the things we must do. If we bring these three things together, oh my God. I am speaking from experience. I'm actually a global Kaizen champion. I have, hired specialists who trained my team, and we practicalized this, and we saw what this did to us in our industry, in the hospitality. And that's why I said, wow, can you imagine if we bring this to political governance? And I spoke to my Indian team, and they told me what they were already doing with the Prime Minister of India, in the presidency office. If I get into office, I will Kaizen everywhere so we can cut waste and improve efficiency. Which sectors are the most important? There are many sectors that are important. I'm not, referring to, of course, we know the importance of education and health and all that. These are the things we must do to stabilize, even create a sense of humane society. But the sectors that can help us to catch up with the rest of the world are technology and entertainment. Because if I tell you that Nigeria or Africa will compete with Airbus and GM in building an engine of aeroplane, we are far behind. It will take us years and years to catch up. But with technology, it's a leveler. We can start today and be the best in AI. We can create our own NVIDIA tomorrow if we do the right thing. Entertainment is something we're already taking on the world without even the support of government. But if we do the right thing, these two in particular, we will supersede. They will be coming to learn from us. We have the DNA, we have the resources, we have everything. Who to do this? I put here Global Africa. It is Diaspora that will do it. Not only Diaspora, but they will lead it, because guess what? Every other place anything has ever happened was led by the Diaspora. So we haven't recognized the potency, the efficacy of Diaspora, and we have to this time. Mention any country, I'll tell you it's the Diaspora. Mention Japan, what's the Diaspora? Is it India? Is there Diaspora? Is it Malaysia? Is it Singapore? Is it UAE? Are we talking about the Jews? I will go into some of this conversation. The Diaspora hold the key. And how would Diaspora do this? Through their resources, through technology, through governance. They have to be part of governance because they have seen it all. They are more likely to be purposeful than those who are hungry. Those who are hungry, they justify being transactional. They justify their selfishness because there's no hope for them. But you guys, some of you have seen it all and say, you know what? I'm ashamed of my home. I want to go home and do something. So yeah, there's that natural setting. That's your default position. Even though some diasporans even are worse than the transactional locals. With due respect, I feel that this summarizes all our conversation. Everything I said to you is maybe to emphasize, to embellish points I've made here. If you have nothing else to hear from me today, this is it. I went to Bahamas a few days ago. Some of you may have seen my post. And in Bahamas, it was the annual meetings, the 31st annual meetings of our President Bank. President Bank is Africa Export-Import Bank. It's a $34 billion asset base company. It's owned by the continents of Africa. I am impressed with what I saw, what I've been seeing. If you have an idea what Afrexim Bank has done in recent years, you will commend them. I have passed through 4 earlier CEOs, presidents, but Professor Rama, Okeo Rama, who also happens to come from Anambra State, has been an impactful chairman and president. At that AGM, he made something home for me. The reason Valentine Ozigbo went into politics was to contribute my quota towards changing the story of Black man in the world. I did my own, permutations, introspection, reflections, and I thought that we are not created unequal. We are, in fact, blessed more than the rest of the world because there's nothing lacking other than these 3 things I've mentioned: political leadership, active citizenship, and the right culture. Nothing else. And when people talk about all this other corruption, these are manifestations of bad leadership. If you get this thing I'm talking about right, where we get the right leadership consistently, it is the masses that will put the leader, and the leader will go back and be accountable to the masses. And when he doesn't, the masses will react. When we have that check and balance, people will sit up. And when people sit up, active citizenship will take roots. And when we have the right culture, we'll get it right. So I felt that there's no need pontificating. I feel that this can happen anywhere, but the most impactful will be Nigeria. I feel any other tribe in Nigeria can lead it, but the one that will make most catalytic is the Igbos. And I feel Anambra is the headship of the Igbos. So why can't we go into Anambra actually now set a standard of what governance should be? That's how I abandoned Transcorp to go into politics. And people thought I was silly, I was a fool. But I thank God for my experience so far. Why am I talking about this? This is the reason. I said to myself, I honestly don't have to even change the story, but I want to do my best. I want to be able to say to God, I tried my best. Even if the people that I'm trying to do this for don't even recognize, no problem. But I don't want to die and say I haven't done my best. That's all. That's why I'm in politics. Nothing else. It's not about fame. It's not about money. It's not about I'm ready to be poor. I am telling you wholeheartedly, I feel our story must change. So here am I, and here was I, in Bahamas. Everybody was repeating the same story. Dignity of Africa, global Africa. From the elderly ones, the likes of President Obasanjo, P.J. Patterson, the former Jamaican president, the younger ones, the business, from the Dangotes of this world, were all there. To the entertainers, I'm not sure Serena Williams eventually came because I think I missed her own show. But Wyclef was there, Genevieve Naji, and of course, likes of Flavor came to perform and entertain us. But all of these ecosystems there speaking the same thing. But they were looking at it from a particular point of view, how the whole of Africa, from those in Africa to the Caribbean to the diaspora, can begin to align and trade among ourselves, create the ecosystem. Fantastic. But I sent an email to President Orama, and I said to him, my dear brother, you made me proud. You're in fact a game changer. That's what I called him in the email. And I said to him, everything you're saying here made a lot of sense. In fact, this is some reason I went into politics. However, there's a missing link. There's a very important missing link. For you to trade, you must be competitive. Nigeria can't sell to South Africa if we can't produce competitively. If by the time we produce and our cost of production is higher than South Africa buying from the US, they will continue to buy from the US. So the trade we are pushing, IATF, Intra-Africa Trade Fair, all of this, it won't happen at that critical mass until we are competitive. How do we become competitive? It won't happen until we have the right leadership who will use Nigerian and African money to work for Africa. As long as all we have are transactional people who are there to enrich themselves, who are mess things up, who get in there in the wrong manner, create a lawless environment where there's no law and order, so we can't even enter into any contract because we can't trust that contract. In Nigeria, if you have more money, you buy your judgment. If that's your story, it's not going to change. What are you talking about? So why are you focusing on the symptoms? Go to the root cause. I said to you, leave that your trade though, and go into what's going on. This is the issue here. And guess what? You can solve it. It's not about how do we recruit people into leadership? How do you solve it? I can say to him in my email, you can solve it. Guess what? Let's use technology to retire the old order. Technology will retire the old order because they won't even know what it is. They can't even use their phone. How much more understand blockchain technology? So let's shift, let's lead them on to that side so that they just get out of our way, please. I have respect for elders, so before people say I'm not respecting elders, but if they are the cause of our issues, we can't, I'm even an elder now, I'm helping to inspire the younger one. We will get out of the way. What am I saying to you all? If we can entrench electronic voting, e-voting, not e-collation, not what we even have now, Beaver's story in Nigeria, e-voting, where you can just be at your home. Within an hour, the country can do your voting and using a blockchain technology. So it can be hacked, it can be, the authenticity will be there. And it's also trackable. We can always go back and validate. And that can be divided, that can be solved. If we can do this, my brother, that's when people like you and me can boldly show up and say, we want to lead. It's no longer about who has stolen more money. They told me in Anambra election, oh, Val is the best candidate, has the right character, is humble, is this and that, but he doesn't have as much money as the incumbent. Do I have to have enough money? Do I have to steal? What are you talking about? Where's your own money? Bahamas was such an experience, and I was so happy when I got a response from Professor Rama saying to me, you know what? I will be copying African Union in this your message, so we can take this conversation further. This is the email. I won't bore you with it, but you know, I poured my heart here and he understood it. So if we go back to those three things of diaspora, I'll go back to it. I put here resources, technology, and governance. Let's talk about resources today. I've highlighted what technology can do already. Governance is just being part of it. Don't just help somebody get in there. Calm down. You have done it right. If I want to solve health problems in Nigeria, why do I need to look far when I have thousands of professional doctors and pharmacists and all that in the US? You come home, we'll do it together. So you have to be part of that governance. But let's talk about resources today and learn from others. This is the kind of figure we see in terms of remittances. You hear $20 billion. That's what we remit. This is Nigeria alone. I'm not talking about Africa now. Imagine what the number is for Africa. $20 billion. But what are these money for? For feeding, for consumption. Nothing productive, because if you put the money in productive activity, it will disappear because we're not competitive, because we're bought by leadership. Just take 1% of this money and channel it towards getting the right people and watch magic happen. It's about strategy. Here is India, and here is Africa, Nigeria, for instance. Our remittances are increasing for consumption, and foreign direct investment is declining. Whereas we do 3.7 billion in FDI, India does 71 billion. Whereas we do 20 billion in remittances, India does 111 billion. I think there's a lot of lessons to learn from this. This is the India story. In the beginning, in the 50s, look at where they were. Indians were low-level engineers, stereotyped as beggars and snake charmers. Those people that will shoot football and the football will disappear. And today, we're talking about talent. Indians that leading the space. Entrepreneurial part that follow has met things. Most of the CEOs in the global world, in the tech world, are Indians. 7% of all Silicon Valley startups between 1980 and 98 were founded by Indian-born entrepreneurs. 25% of all startups in the USA are by immigrants, Indian 6.5%. 52% of startups in the Silicon Valley were by immigrants, India 40%. This is what they achieved. Yet, they account for less than 1% of immigrants in the US. Why can't we replicate this? And with this, why can't we go home and fix our home? Bangalore, similar. From, look at World Tech Hub, Silicon Valley, rely on significantly on Bangalore for outsourcing. And today the story is different. That the world's third highest startup ecosystem. One of the things I say I must do with Anambra, it has to be a tech hub. I would like Anambra to compete with Bangalore, for instance, or the entire Southeast to compete with Bangalore through collaborations. The Jews I am most proud of. In fact, I read the story, the speech by the UN ambassador, the Israeli ambassador to the United Nations. Where, oh my God, I think I need to pass on this. Everybody on this call should read that message, that speech. If you understand where they have come from, 2 million people, 6 million people murdered, babies slaughtered, nowhere to hide. Jews immigrated to the USA from Ukraine, Western Russia, Poland, Lithuania, Belarus, Romania. They arrived US on crowded boats. But if you now listen here, oh my God, in fact, I think I had that open on my phone. I'll read part of the message. It's incredible. It's incredible. They are 0.01% of the entire world in terms of population. But they make up 32% of the Nobel laureate winners. That's India. Yes, you may say God created them special. After all, Virgin Mary is a Jew. Jesus Christ, every people, the reason why even Christians, and we can say even a lot more. There's a particular line I just want to read out. Drip irrigation, seawater desalination, Intel processors and Centrino and Core Duo platforms, the world's smallest DNA computer, the world's first USB flash drive, Nation nanowire and camera peel, multiple sclerosis drug, and exoskeleton, Google Glass for the blind and baby breathing monitor, the radar that can see through walls, the holographic reality artificial intelligence synthesizer, hundreds of other wonderful things. I can tell you that the Jews changed the story of white men, and the Jews of Africa must change the story of Black men. And I want you to challenge me. I want you to disagree with me and let other tribes in Nigeria actually say, no, it's us. Let's compete on things like that, not on how many people have been murdered and those nonsense that we talk about. Where's your president coming from? And when one gets in there, he will only become nepotic and people around you. We're in trouble, but we have to change it. See, within this period of Ukraine, not Ukraine, the insecurity in Israel, they've remitted over $2 billion home. So they actually drive that. They drive development both in the diaspora and in the homeland. That's what we need to do. I want our diasporans to understand that we are waiting for you. And when you talk about Jews and Indians and Chinese and Japanese and all of this, there's even a story you can learn from in Africa. Somalia, just 15 million people, 1.2%, but 7 out of 12 African caucus members are Somalians, 60% of African caucus. So it's not the size of dog in the fight, but the size of the fight in the dog. What are the lessons? Individually, we are one drop. Together, we are an ocean. A single leaf, walking alone, provides no shade. Now listen to this African proverb. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. But he was shocked with the wisdom of President Obasanjo in Bahamas. He added, we don't want to just go fast or go together or go far. We must go fast and far. So we must go alone together. Wow, the whole place erupted. And he explained this further. And that was part of my email to President Obama. You can't just keep going together when you haven't done what you have to do alone at home. So for us to move, a constant pass must get their acts together. If you use the word, you have criminals at home guarding your home, of course, before you even get home, your home is lost. So you have to tidy your home and then everybody together. Then we can now move fast and far. That's a lesson we have to learn tonight. We need to take every step necessary to get our homes right. When you wake up in the morning, this is the right time, but don't wake up at night because we have to get things done. We need to work together. We need, leadership. Selection process has to be right. We have to embed this strategy in a long-term manner, be resilient, and Diaspora has a lot to do. And something we're trying to practicalize here. My foundation and Nigeria We Can went into partnership to actually begin to experiment this at a level of private sector until we get into office and begin to take it to a global level. We wanted to demonstrate what is possible. So we don't just keep talking. See, when I talk about resources, diaspora, what I need you to understand is once we identify the right person, the person with the right character, and we've got to come together to support and make sure such a person gets into office and make it consistently. in that manner. Because if you wait until one person has all the money to get in there, or mingles with some wrong godfathers to get in there, you will see a good man turn bad. You don't want that. That's why in the US, for instance, even as a sitting president, Biden is receiving $50, $100. In different parts of the Western world, same thing. Trump, with all the billion that he has, people are still contributing money. And not just the $1 million contribution, is a $100 contribution. Just Starbucks coffee, two cups. If you're able to do this on a monthly basis, for instance, watch and see what will happen. Do you know just getting 50,000 Nigerians in the diaspora to give $100, $200 in an election period, that's $10 million. If you support any candidate, he will emerge and he wouldn't feel you've supported. It's a culture we've got to imbibe. We didn't do it right in last year. Nigeria We Can experimented this, did a lot, but we didn't get the crescendo the way we would have liked. But we can't afford to miss that opportunity anymore. So let's start off now. My foundation has been doing a lot of things. So why don't we then get our diaspora to team up and explode those things and show it's possible? So even when we get into electioneering season, we have a ready mantra, game plan to run an election. And when people say, oh, VAR doesn't have money, he's looking for money. VAR was actually meant to fund his entire activities alone because VAR is going there to enrich himself. No, that's a wrong way to act and reason. We've got to change the narratives about changing the status quo. How we fund elections in the future must change, and diaspora has to lead it. You understand this already. That's what you're doing already. You did it for Obama and many people. So why can't we do it at home? Little contributions. When we all come together and put somebody there, the person is more obligated to be accountable to you because you will say, I put you there. So resources, using the right technology, and then being part of governance are the ways diaspora can help to cement what we're talking about. About my foundation, we've done a lot of things, both in the church, through the unusual praise. We've done a lot of talent hunts, business plan, competition, seeding money, providing mentorship. And on the tech world, we've trained a couple of engineers working with Decagon and other partners. We've also just yesterday, 2 days ago on Friday, we conducted another edition of Talent Hunt. This was for Anambra students, and spent over 6 million in prizes alone. Not talk about the preparation, logistics, and all that, and empowered people again in the seeding money for businesses, for music, dance, drama, and those winners that are exceptional. We will also handhold them because I'm an investor in the entertainment world. I'm one of the owners of Merryman movie, for instance. So what we try to do, but there's another movie about to be shot, I try to get some of the people to be part of those movies. So that's how to get them to start up. And when they start doing well, they have a story to tell. So these are the things I do. Tech and entertainment, I'm not waiting until I get into office. These are the things I have been part of and I will keep doing. And by the time we get into office, you will see magic begin to happen. Then, Dan mentioned freestyle football. I don't want to bore you with that. We have many contents to share. This year alone, in September, there'll be another Nigerian championship in Lagos. Also, by October, there'll be an African championship in Algeria. And, we do this because we want to provide credible alternative for our younger people instead of taking to crime. And there are many things now Nigeria We Can has been a fantastic partner. They built first of its kind nonprofit number 527 company, founded in August. They did a lot for P2B's election. And we've gone into this partnership, and there's a lot being done as we speak. In fact, the goal is to convert the Nigerian diaspora's economic power to political might by ensuring that Nigerians in the diaspora have a strong voice in selecting its leaders. So let's create a platform where we can demonstrate what we're talking about. Because I can speak all this grammar, and then I end up this conversation, and everybody goes back to their, and then life, nothing changes. That's not what we want. Talk, not do, that's where we are. You can be part of it now, even in this meeting. And it provides what we call radical transparency. As you're doing it, you're seeing the outcome. And because it is US regulated, they actually show everything on a quarterly basis, who has donated what. And even my foundation assessing it, we have to provide invoice, let them know this is what this money is being used for. So the tracking is there, and everybody, you can always log on the website and see who has donated what. Nothing can be better than that. In the past dispensation, people will tell you, I gave money to this person, something happened. No, all that is gone. And you can use any card, any instrument. In fact, by just, scanning a barcode or texting to a particular, for instance, a VCO to a particular number, you can get into business. And within a few seconds, you've supported. And you can set it up on a monthly basis, $25, $100, like that. So this is what we experiment with. Last meeting we had, you can see here, assuming we're targeting $10,000 this night, you can actually just scan this or text this, and you'll be seeing who is donating what, scrolling down the screen. Daniel Lumba will share his screen after I'm done with this conversation. And we have to strategize for the future. And I have a couple of people who are supporting this activity. Their names are here. You can take the numbers, reach out to them. I want to say this. I am passionate. I am desperate about changing the story of Black man in the world. I obviously am a little part of what is needed, a very insignificant part. But without, saying too much, I want to say that whatever I have to contribute, take it to the bank, and that's what I'm here to contribute. By the time you do your own part, every other person does their own part, we will form a critical mass, and that chain becomes much more achievable, much more, what we call low-hanging. So my dear brothers, my dear sisters, there's a lot of work for us to do. I honestly wish I was better prepared, but I hope the little story I've shared will inspire you into greater action. And as you do so, may God bless Black people in Africa. May God bless Nigeria. May God bless my dear Southeasterners and other parts of Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Valentine Ozigbo. We really do appreciate your insight into how diasporans can influence the political question in Africa. So I'd like to thank you again, and I will please solicit our audience that if you'd like to ask any question to Mr. Valentine Ozigbo, to please raise your hand, and we have Dr. Cheta here, who is going to be moderating that section. Cheta, if you want to take over, please, I will appreciate that. But before that, I want to say, Mr. Val, you've hit all the nails on the head when it comes to African problem. I would like to quote an old lady I ran into in the United States. She was about 87, Miss T, I call her. We came across each other by chance. Then we became friends. I'll go to her house, I will sit down with her, and we'll talk about Africa and African Americans. Just not to bore people, there was one thing she said that struck me, and I've been thinking about it and meditating about it, that she's waiting for the day she's going to die. And she wants to go to God and ask God, what plan did you have for the Black man when you created him? And that thing got stuck in my head since over 15 years. You know, you said we like to blame others for our own problems. Yes, I know others are part of our problems, but like you said, we can change the narrative. But what I tell my African brothers and sisters is this: if you are not able to change yourself, you can never change any other person. It's just very impossible. I would like to stop there and hand over to Cheta to please moderate the question and answers. Thank you, Cheta.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Cheta,
please, I'm number 5. I'm trying to raise my hand and I couldn't.
Okay,
So,
okay. I see 4. Okay, number 5. Okay.
Okay, I'm number 5.
Okay, but you can see and hear me, right?
Yes, we do.
Okay. So thank you so much, Mr. Ozigbo. My name is Cheta Liam. I'm a physician at Cleveland, Ohio, and one of the BOT members of DADA. So grateful to you for gracing our conference today. And, we know that you're so busy, and we saw the effort you had to make to come today. And you can see that a lot of people really want to hear from you. And, we have 93 people here. So this is really impressive. But before I go on, I want to also apologize on behalf of DADA about the Zoom bombing we had today. So this series, we've had it since, I believe, October last year. Every month we have speakers, and from Professor Utomi to Dr. Sam Amadi, and I think it's about the 8th meeting. We're having the 8th conference, and we've never, ever had anybody bomb us like this. So that tells me that maybe there are some certain entities who are not eager to, let people hear what you have to say, because it's so important. So I would probably plead with you to take it as a compliment. But I'm sorry that we weren't able to arrest the situation faster, but hopefully it didn't deem anything that we're doing here, because your speech was very inspirational and very visionary. And we thank you for this. Just a little bit of summary of what you've told us today. In case people join late, I'm not sure what the topic is. The topic of our lecture today is the diaspora influence in development of democracy in Africa, with Nigeria as a case study. And Mr. Ozigbo told us today, in summary, that a change in Nigeria is needed for catalysis of progress of Black people worldwide. So really, who was it that said? I think it was Professor Lumumba that said, for Africa to wake up, Nigeria has to wake up. So you just hit the nail on the head here. The 3 things you said are really pretty important for us to make this happen is political leadership. There has to be a careful recruitment process, important succession plan, active citizenship, people to be less selfish, and culture that challenges the status quo. And you went on to say that there are 3 avenues diaspora can lead through: resources, tech, and governance. And you mentioned different, your experience in the Bahamas, where you said, and I think it's very important, because you hear all these things being bandied about. Africa needs to trade, within itself, and all our problems will be over. But, we have to be realistic that we really have to put our house in order internally first for us to be able to contribute meaningfully externally. And that's what you've told us here. And everything really, again, like Chinua Achebe said, everything depends. The problem of Africa is leadership. You get the leadership right, at least problem with Nigeria, then kind of everything falls in place. And you talked about the Indians, you talked about the Jews, even the Somalis. Last session, I think we spoke to Mr. Ogebe. He's a human rights activist based in DC. And we had invited him to talk to us about how diasporans, particularly Nigerian diasporas, which are like the most successful Black diasporans in the US, we just don't have any political power weight. We are all like doing our own individual thing and being very successful. So Dr. Ogebe came on board to kind of give us an idea of how we can coalesce and, the need for us to do that so we can have a voice. And to see that Somali is already doing that, despite being so, their population is, and even actually the economic power is not as high as Nigerians, at least here in the US, you know, is food for thought for us, you know, that we can't continue to do things individually. There's need for us to come together and coalesce and, you know, work together as a group. And so that's why it's very refreshing to see what you mentioned that your foundation is doing with Nigeria You Can, and you actually have an avenue where people can participate and, you know, donate towards supporting their preferred candidates. And we're not just speaking grammar and going, we're actually doing something, you know, putting our money where our mouth is. So overall, this has just been a very excellent. I'm sure everybody here will agree with us that you went in and you gave us the background of all we need to do, and actually even gave us tools on how we can go about it. So we're very, very grateful for that. So I'll just have only one question, and then after that we'll go into question and answer section. And I will first of all tackle the people who have raised their hands, and anybody else, if you don't want to speak publicly, you could also leave your questions in the chat. And when we're done with everybody has raised their hands, then we can address the questions in the chat. However, I will please, this is what time in Nigeria? This is 5:30 here, so +5 is 10:30. You know, Mr. Ozigbo has had a long day. So please keep your questions short so that we can get to as many people as possible, so that, you know, he can get his deserved rest as well. You know, so my question is very simple. I know you have this your foundation, and you have what you've mentioned is a foundational pillar movement. I believe it's from what I could understand from your presentations, where people can contribute to support preferred candidates instead of them just pitting them against like the money bags back home that, you know, that have looted and stuff like that. So, but the question is, how do we in diaspora, particularly those of us who haven't gone home in a long time, are not familiar with the politics back home, but because of, you know, how things are going and people, the need now, whether it's just to reimagine or, you know, it's been, you know, they've been nursing it for a long time to help back home. How can people really identify the right candidates to support? Right now, Peter Obi kind of seems like the barometer. Whoever PO supports, we go, but I don't think that's enough. So, I mean, if you can, and that comes to what you mentioned here as a, you know, a recruitment process. How do you advise that diaspora groups, you know, so be a part of this recruitment process so they can identify who to support and put their weight behind, so that a lot of efforts are not in different places and is diluted and not effective? Thank you.
Thank you so very much. This is actually a very, very important question, and I've had to address it in many fora. I'm very happy to say it here again. I have what I call 4 Ps. Sometimes I increase it to 5 Ps or 6 Ps, but 4 are the basic. And those 4 Ps, we must seek to get right together, not one as mutually exclusive. They must come together concurrently, simultaneously. What are those Ps? The first P, and what I actually consider the most important P, is personality. And by personality, it encompasses all the right things we usually say about good people. In summary, is this man a good man? Is she a good woman? How do you answer that? It's about the character of the person, competence of the person, compassion of the person. It's about the commitment of the person. All those C's make up the personality P. And how do you assess this? It's about track record. It's about the goodwill or bad will he has built over the period. So do your checks first. Most times people don't get to power and change. Power simply brings out the true identity of the person. When some people will tell me, for instance, in Anambra, Soludo is this, Soludo is that. I say, is that new to you? Didn't you know before? Didn't you know before? Was there anything new? There's nothing new. Point here is, who is this person? If you know, particularly in an environment, I'm using again the Southeast, or you know the Igbos, we are Republican in nature, so you can't govern well if you're not humble, if you're not able to listen to people. Who is this person? Start from there and put a weight around this. So if the 4 P's are together, you can decide that the first P is 40%, for instance, because you see that you don't use this P in isolation. Oh, because this person is a good person. It's not enough to be a good person, by the way. But starting point is being a good person. I want to repeat what I just said. It's not enough. That's why people tell you, like, good Lord, Jonathan, he may be a good person. It's not enough. You've got to be competent. You've got to show that you understand the assignment. So that's the first P. Second P is the platform. Platform, what platform is it running under? Because I've seen good people go into a wrong platform. First, he can't win. Even if he wins, he won't govern well because he's unequally yoked with wrong people there. Platform is important. And in our case, excuse me, I have to advertise ourselves of myself here. With Labour Party and Obedience, you have a fantastic platform. A platform, at least the Obedient will challenge the status quo. If you're not doing well, they will take you up on. They will take you on and they will challenge you. And we even need to do more. I think we're even being nice to a lot of people. We need to do more. Some of the people have said National Assembly people are not doing well enough. Yes, let's hold them accountable. There's no other platform that will hold you accountable. APC won't hold you because it's all one and the same. They know who is holding who. And PDP won't hold, ABGA will not hold. So being a good person, you must also run in a good platform. And still, it's not enough. Having these 2 pieces is not enough. That's why you need to, okay, if you think this platform is another 20%, that's 60%, there's still 40% out there. So that when you then have different aspirants, you start to score them. Is he a good person? What's the score? Maybe 30 out of 40. Okay, that's fine. Such that you may find out that the person, Mr. A may be better than Mr. B, but if that better is marginal, then Mr. B is in a right platform. Mr. B may actually be a better candidate than Mr. A. This is simple arithmetic, and that's what we must do. Now, people think in a solo way, they just go and change something without caring where they're entering into. That's why there's a Brexit before they even realize going to what. Or you have a Trump, excuse me, and they don't care. So you've got to think about where am I getting into? My point is that these P's are important. The next P is process. The process of your emergence is also equally important. How you get elected, Peter B will tell you, if you're not elected excellently, you can't be excellent. So that process is important. Were you elected by the people? Or were you elected by Supreme Court? Or were you elected by INEC switching off server? They're totally different things. Because if you're elected by the people, you will be obligated to be accountable to the people. You will care about anything you're doing. Let me tell you what usually happens. When these other non-actors elect you, they will hang a bill on you that you will never finish paying until you leave office. So you're not accountable to your people who should have elected you. So the process of your emergence, and that's why the platform is important. If, for instance, anybody is trying to run for governorship in Anambra State under APC, even if you're sent, even if you're Jesus Christ, you're wrong already. Because guess what? You're not hoping to win because you know you can't win. The only way you can win is you get a Supreme Court to declare you, for instance, which can't even happen, by the way. I'm saying using this to make a point. So some of them who are actually running there, they will even tell their people, oh, we know we can't win, but we will get in there. So you know already you're in a deep shit. So that's why we must fight to make sure such doesn't happen. What am I saying to you? You've got to take all these P's. Before you get to that last P of promise, what is it coming to do? What is it coming to deliver? Some people are going to start looking at manifesto from wrong people. Don't tell me what all this other, someone has failed in the first P, second P, third P, but has had a consultant to brandish a nice looking manifesto. He's telling me, oh, this manifesto is better, and therefore I'll go with him. Rubbish, with due respect. You've got to take the P's and score them. And if you're confused, when you have two different candidates, that's why sometimes we have, a case of we have really a fantastic candidate, but it's running under another party. We have a wrong candidate running under our party. We're confused. I'll score it. If I score it and I see that somebody from another party is even doing better in terms of the score, I don't mind us supporting such a person for entrenchment of the right ideals and values. But we've got to bring all this in holistically and make sure. So if you're asking me, the simple answer here is have a composite of these factors and bring them to the same table, and the answer will become easy for every single one of you. Thank you.
Well, that's fantastic. Thank you so much for.
By the way, the last fee I haven't mentioned usually is P2B, in case you're wondering what that is.
Yeah, he's like what a sine qua non. He has to be there for. But he can be everywhere. If there's a governorship election going somewhere in Plateau State or whatever, then, he may not be involved. But anyway, so that's a very practical way of looking at this. And thank you so much. Okay, we're going to open up the question and answer session. I think Dr. Chukwudi, you're first. Please, everybody, keep your questions under 1 minute, please. Thank you.
Thank you for giving me an opportunity. And I want to especially thank Val Ozigbo for making our time to talk to us. And we can see that today we are all lifted in a very good spirit. You seem to have a good grasp of what the problem is, and not just describing the problem, but having a very good solution to that. And we're not surprised, because during our time in the P2B campaign, you were not just there from afar. You were one of those warriors that was on ground, charging the march, and and got us to where we are. So I want to use this opportunity also to really thank the Diasporans, because I think P2B's time was a very good testament of what the impact of the involvement of the Diasporans were, not just by talk, but by doing action, by contributions. I know that individual support groups in Diaspora was able to look their way for Gigi, and other people also did a good job. The question I have was, the question I have for you is that we've seen the whole process. We have learned, what we would have done better. Knowing what we know now, and knowing the type of party, the ruthlessness that we're going to be fighting, what is your change of tactics? Because we know that the problem was not P2B. Every average Nigerian knew the good from evil. We knew that we had a good candidate. People even actually went out at the risk of their properties. They voted. But at the end of it, that vote, some of them was not guarded very well as it should by Labour Party. And that is still my very big concern, that we can even do all we can do. And if you're not able to guard the votes of people that go there, then it becomes an exercise in futility. So I wanted to see what are your plans to counter, to actually defend the votes of people that are, because obviously it is very clear that you are a good candidate that has a good glimpse of what is going on. But if people go out there to give this mandate, and people are going to spend the money to help that come through, what is that pristine strategy that we're going to use that is different from what happened before? That is going to actually make sure that our votes are, that our votes are upheld. That is my question. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, my brother Chukwudi. I will just go straight to the point to tell you that if we are serious, what happened in the past will never repeat again. If we are serious, and I want us to be serious. There are a number of things that can be a key differentiator from the past. First is what I call timing. Peter Obi joined Labour Party at the twilight of closure of candidates. And I would say that at the beginning, he was met with suspicion by some other parts of Nigeria at the beginning. It took a while before people started seeing the potency of his efforts and his message. By then, there wasn't any room to admit any more candidates. So the fact that he ran for presidential election, a majority of the places where they didn't even have a House of Reps and senatorial candidates was a weakness. If we had people who were strong enough to defend their own votes, the story would have been different. And I don't want to go more than this, so we don't expose a lot of things. The point here is just the fact that he's no longer entering Labour new makes a lot of difference. That's number one. Number two is structure. The real structure is not necessarily the structure of I have a governor, I have this, I have that. The real structure is actually identifying human beings who would be in the various polling units, who will be trained, who will be equipped, who will be energized, inspired to do the battle for you and collect the results from the polling units. There were a few gaps in that regard. That won't repeat again in the next dispensation. And if we have that, we can frustrate the criminality that may come from different corners. There's also a battle of resources. And that's why I emphasize a lot on resources mobilization in this conversation. If we do what I'm talking about, if we are able to imbibe the crowdfunding model in the manner that my foundation and Nigeria We Can set up, and Dan Elomba, at some point I would like you to share a screen so that people can actually demonstrate. We can demonstrate what we're talking about this night. If we get it done properly, I honestly don't even see why we can't raise $100 million for Peter Obi in the next dispensation. And with that, I mean, everything we wish really can happen. And we don't even need up to that, by the way. My point here is there is need for some change of tactics in these three areas: timing, structure, resources. Then citizenship. By the time the votes have gone in and we have won, my sister, my brother, we have to sit up. Do you know why NMPP didn't lose Kano? Because they were scared what would happen if Kano's result was tampered with. We need that energy in every part of Nigeria. The fear should go into every corner, that if you dare touch our votes, Nigerians will. Anyway, finally, is the power of technology. To bring all this together, if you, the diaspora, decide that Peter Obi will be president, Peter Obi will be president. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Ozigbo. Dan, if you can prepare the slide he's alluding to, but let's take the next question, Mr. Chukwuma. Can you please keep your questions to under 1 minute or comments to under 1 minute? Thank you. Mike Chukwuma, are you there? Oh, you're muted. You have to unmute yourself. Oh, hold on a second. I'll unmute you. Sorry. No?
Yeah, thank you, everyone. I am really impressed today to be part of this meeting. Sincerely, His Excellency, I address him because so he will be, in a few moments, in few months to come, has really dealt with it all. In fact, my question is very straight, and I expect him to, use it to strengthen the structure that has already been in place, which I'm part of and I'm aware of. I also want to appreciate the efforts of Diaspora and Friends. This particular meeting today, it's awesome. It has added a lot to my personal belief. I am one person that believes that for Africa to rise, Nigeria must rise. And to be fair, and in all honesty, for Nigeria to rise higher, Anambra must be harmonized and the leadership put in the right direction. Anambra Wechawapo. However, how do we make this happen? The how means practically. I'm an engineer. So whatever you tell me on earth, if I'm unable to put the foundation, lay block, and it stands and carries a decking, it doesn't make sense to me. It's not practical. So how do we make all these things to come to reality? Your Excellency, one, the part of the crowdfunding, I am in for this because it's always the case. I've been part of the political process for years, and I see what normally plays out, and that's what's about playing out again. But the good news is that Anambra system will not be exactly the way people think it's going to be this time around. I describe it as something that is going to be fight of what I can call two animals. I don't want to call them elephants. Please permit me to use that word. And while they are fighting, the real owners of the meat will be taking their meat. Forgive me for using that adage. But then the question is, do we have what I can call, for instance, at the moment, preliminary budget for word-to-word delivery? Because all we know, for all these things to happen, for all these wonderful ideas he has marshaled out to come to pass, there is need for practicality, and that practicality needs to be engineered by funding. But this funding doesn't have a budget that I can decide on my own who comes from a particular ward in Anambra State to put people around, especially diasporas, fellow diasporas, that we are able to fund my ward. Is there such a plan? Okay. That's number one. Then number two, just like what the former speaker before me said, the ability to protect the votes. This, to me, has to be thrown back to what we have said earlier, which is using technology to, retire the old order. For me, I have my personal device technology at the moment, which I have understudied, I've test run. For the past 8 months, I have not left the United Kingdom. That was my main reason. I was understudying something that I know will work and that it will work for me. Okay. Now, the process I'm asking now, how can this be harmonized? I'm not going to present it anywhere online. I'm not going to give it to anybody. It has to be something we have to sit down. Anybody that has such technology has to sit down, because so we can analyze it. Do you have such, do you have such a platform where everybody will come and test run theirs? Let's see the one that will work better. It's always good to expand technologies. You just test it and know the one that will work. There are different types of ATMs to have Visa, we have MasterCard and all of that. But one is working better than the other. Do you have a platform where such things can be, one can come and, because that is the essence of today's meeting, using technology to change the situation. If you have this kind of two things, and we're able to come and demonstrate it under it as well. Don't also forget that my third question, which I forgot to put before now, how are we also planning to get people when the time comes for the next voter revalidation exercise? Do we already have?
Mr. Chukwu, we have to be fair to other people. We have like 9 people.
It's okay. I'm done. All right,
so I was even going to stop you myself. Engineer Mike, thank you. I will actually have very short answers for you. First, on the tech, don't forget I was special advisor to Peter Obi in the last election on technology. So we have done a lot of test running we have even advanced to implementation. So I don't want to bore you here. You've got my number. We'll discuss further outside of the public forum. On funding per ward, it's not a discussion for today. I'm not here to campaign. I'm not here to go into, we're far from it. At this point, we've got Congress next month. We've got primary that will happen around April. Then election is in November 2025. There's enough time to talk about this. All I just want you to do is get ready to deliver Abatete where you are from. That's all. So if it costs whatever, deal with it. If I lose Abatete, I will chase you out of Anambra State. That's all. So thank you. Let's go to another question.
Yes, please. Thank you. So please, again, be considerate of all that. We have, right now, we have like 8 people. The last person I have on this list is Mazi Okoye, and that'll be the last person we'll take for people raising their hands, and then we'll go to the comments question, because we don't want to
Remember, I'm number 5.
I know you're number 5, October. But please, we don't want to keep, we have to be fair to our guests here. Please, just be considerate. Miss, Nwanne Bokwe, can you, I'm going to unmute you here.
Okay, I think, okay, thank you. I'm unmuted now. Thank you very much. And thank you very much, Val. I have listened very attentively to your presentation. I continue to be an active member of the Obedient Global Movement. At my age, at least a little bit above mid-60s, I have seen a lot.
You look 30, by the way.
Thank you. I have seen a lot. I've followed Nigerian politics. By discipline, I'm not a politician or historian, but I have a bunch of it to give in Nigeria. Today, I am so worried because I continue to be in doubt how there could be a change in the judiciary system and also INEC. Whatever efforts that people put together, these 2 institutions continue to be serious impediment. I want to make it so brief. So I'm so worried going forward that an election can change the status quo. That's where I'll stop. Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much. I'm also equally worried. I'm worried because of the lack of integrity of these institutions. But what we find is that we've actually advanced. We advanced the Electoral Act, for instance, in the case of INEC, was actually sufficient for us to have done the right thing. It just took for outright criminality, to happen. Now, we can deal with it in many ways. We can deal with it from the citizenship part, where we can actually, out of fear, such never repeats again. We can deal with it by strengthening the Electoral Act and actually making sure that INEC has little ways to maneuver and to mess up the process that's in place. But we can also deal with it in a manner we can actually render INEC almost redundant. If we're able to, for instance, execute this electronic voting, leveraging blockchain technology, we already have people on BVN. We can just use that to create a solution where we avoid all this collation that happens at the ward, because that's usually where the whole mess happens. Just from the voting. And the solution can be such it can vote twice, because everybody has only one BVN to them. Just from that, INEC will cease to be an instrument that people can manipulate. And with that, even the judiciary won't have any case to administer as much as we have today, where they have to. And information can be relied upon. But there are other things we can also do, even with what is on ground. If we had polling unit agents with the right technological tool in every polling unit, and we were able to collect those results, we were able to tabulate them online, we had declared the result before INEC, I think we would have frustrated INEC, even with the whatever we have seen now. I'm saying to you that be worried, yes, but find a solution. Don't stop at being worried. Get something done. That's what we're thinking, and that's the essence of this type of conversation. And when we have done all the proactive things, also get ready to be that active citizen that will be able to say enough is enough.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So we'll take Mr. Matthew Aiguyo, and after that, Dr. Cordelia Odo. Mr. Matthew, I've unmuted you.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much. From Delta State, Nigeria. Yeah, Your Excellency, I have just 3 questions for you. You've been talking about the 4 P's, and I have noted them down. I like them so much. But one thing that gives me concern, yes, is that just this in Delta State now, there's preparation for the councillorship election. And it will surprise you that in more than half of our local government, there are no candidates. And not that people did not want to contest for this election, but just because some people were denied because of money and everything. And you're talking about one of the P's that has to talk about the good platform. Now, my question for you, sir, is Labour Party this good platform that you are referring to? Because there has been some things that we observed during the last election. And for me, I say it's deliberate, because as someone that worked at the Coalition Center, as someone that worked at the polling unit, I noticed a lot of lapses, and this, even till now, there are a lot of people that I was just in the keke some days back, and you surprised that a member of AGAP, what do they call it? AGAP, this political party, was the one that signed the Labour Party results for a particular unit. And he was even telling me that the results are with him at home. So nobody has even collected those results that was signed by him. So what are we doing to make sure? One, the first thing is not having candidates because of money issues and everything. There are people that came for these positions, want to contest for the election, but were denied because they could not meet up with the money required or whatsoever. Like in Brutu local governments, we don't have any candidates. Patani local governments, we don't have any candidates. Bomodi local government, we don't have any candidate. For when we are talking about building a structure for the party, local government election, talking about all these things, we know definitely they are going to maybe write their results whatsoever, but it's just the right time for us to make some point as a party, but there's no candidate at this point. Sir, the other question is this, sir.
Yeah, can you just wrap it up a little bit, Matthew, please?
Okay, ma. The first question is do you think Labour Party is the right vehicle? Are they doing the right thing that they ought to do? Secondly, you talk about your foundation and all the things you've been doing in Anambra State. They are fantastic, and you even talk about going to Lagos to do more. So I want to ask, what do you think about spreading it to other parts of the Niger Delta? Thank you, sir. Let me rest on here.
Thank you so much. I'm not very privy to all the things going on in Delta, but I'll speak generally. On Labour Party particularly, I will be honest enough to tell you that I'm not as proud of my party as I would love to be. The few things that have happened that I'm not impressed by, that I prefer that we work together harmoniously to improve upon. And I hope as time progresses, we can get our acts better. But I'm also quick to add that when I consider Labour Party, put it side by side other parties, in the Catholic Church where I belong to, we have two types of sins. One is venial sin, one is mortal sin. I think that what I see with PDP and APC and ABGA are mortal sin. And what I see with Labour Party is venial sin that can be forgiven. The others can be forgiven. So let's hope that we don't descend to the abyss of mortal sin. And let's actually move our party to a sinless party so it can be truly that progressive party that Nigeria is yearning for. On money, as part of what I was saying here, money should not be, first and foremost, you can't actually run for an election without some basic resources. If whatever amount of money you need to buy form or campaign is not even, you don't even have that, then you're not serious, you're not even ready. There's no place in the world where you run for election without certain resources. And you've got to be productive, you've got to be earning some money for you to actually want to go and serve. Otherwise, you're going there for another purpose. It's not a place for people looking for a job. It's a place for people who want to go and serve. So you've got to have certain level, but it's not a case of where if you have to deploy your entire family resources. And that's where, if you're a great candidate with that level, basic minimum, then help should come. How do we make help come? That's the message I'm pushing out here, that all of us, and when we actually use the word diaspora, I'm also referring to people who are doing well in the urban areas beyond the local communities. So if you're in Lagos, you're doing well, and you're from Delta, you're a diaspora. You can be a local diaspora. So all of those people should be able to see the quality in you, that you're the right candidate in the right platform, and you're going to match the right process and have the right promise. And they'll back you up with support through small donations. When we have critical mass, that person will have enough to be able to get in there and do the needful. And then on spreading the activities, we actually do spread activities. Like before we get to September Freestyle Football Championship in Nigeria, we have regional championship. We have one in Abuja for the northern part of Nigeria. We're deciding between Asaba and Port Harcourt for the south-south. Of course, Anambra for southeast. You know why, so of course, because that's my home. And then Lagos for southwest. That's the plan. We're working that out with our sponsor. Once the date is fixed, you're going to see it on my social media handles. So we're doing that already. And when we had the African Championship in 2019, we also had a regional championship and in different parts of Nigeria. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ozigbo. Dr. Cordelia, hold on.
Yes, so I am Dr. Cordelia Udo. Chief Ozigbo, thank you for this inspiring topic. I'll go right to my questions. You know, when you listed the list of problems with Africa, I didn't see tribalism, I didn't see religion, and I don't see attitude of entitlement. I wonder how much these other things contribute. That's number one. And then number two, the e-voting. What are the plans you guys are trying to do to put this into play? And then let me make an appeal. You know, in US, Trump mega group, you know, majority of them are poor white people. and they make commitment every month. If it's $5, they give every month because they want a change, a particular change. And here you have set up Niger We Can Foundation. And I believe some of this money will go for electing Peter Obi next time. Can you answer that yes or no? And if that's the case, I will start now to give my own money of $200 every month. And I have to see how I'm going to set it up and see how any statements that can be sent to donors, that this is how much you have given, because you guys need to really campaign on this for diasporans to start giving. We cannot be there talking about all these things we want. Yet poor people in America are putting out, these are people on welfare, people on monthly fixed income. They put out $10 every month they send to Trump. Our people are here with all kinds of big names and talking about, speaking long grammar, and they can't support. They can't make long-term planning. So count it from this month. Cordelia Udo will be, I will be giving $200 until that time comes. I decide what I can give to balance it off. Okay. So, and also I hope that statement, and I hope anybody who is talking here should be talking about what they're gonna be putting into that Niger We Can, and not talk long grammar and then. Okay. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Cordelia. The first part of your comment and your question was on we didn't really state order. I mean, I put here corruption, I put here tribalism. That actually is a generic word to cover for religious bigotry and all of that. And I also did mention that you can add more. There are several more you can add here, but it does reflect some of your initial comments. And then on issue of funding support, thank you for understanding the need. In fact, even taking it further home, a lot of our people are true professionals who are far well-to-do than those people who are making those sacrifices for people that ordinarily they shouldn't even be making such sacrifice, because they understand it. They understand it. I think what I would do is maybe before we take further questions, maybe the founder of Niger We Can is actually here. If he's, I know he's traveling, he's on the road now, but if he's able to actually speak, he can speak for 2 minutes before Dan can share this, and we can go further into more questions. I'm still here. Thank you.
Okay. Hello. Who is the founder of Niger?
Nexus C is there.
Okay. Can you raise your hand so I can unmute you?
Jay, are you there? Ikeme, Anthony?
Nexus is now muted, so he can speak.
Okay.
Hello, good evening, everyone, and thank you, Your Excellency, for those inspiring remarks. And thank you to this great organization for bringing us all together this evening. And thank you to each and every one of us for joining the call. As His Excellency mentioned, as the last speaker mentioned, it really takes us putting into action our desire for change back home, and doing so in any which way that we can. For a little bit of a background, I'm the founder of Niger We Can. I'm also an attorney in New York. I'm a partner at O'Melveny & Myers in the city. I'm a litigation partner there. I am second generation Nigerian. Both of my parents immigrated to this country in the 60s. I was born in New Jersey. My parents sent me to Nigeria for high school to understand where I came from, understand the country. And my parents always advocated that I keep one foot in the United States and one foot in Nigeria. I always remember where I came from. And so that fast forward to Nigeria We Can. The idea behind it was when His Excellency Peter Obi left PDP, we all understood that there's going to be a challenge for him in terms of funding. I'm not sure if you all are familiar with Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala's book, where she talks about the issue of political financing in Nigeria and how a lot of those funds are generated through government sources, government resources. And if we can fix the political funding problem, we can help fix the problem of leadership in the country. And so when His Excellency Peter Obi joined the Labour Party, we kind of put our heads together and figured, how can we help galvanize members of diaspora to create a funding vehicle to help with his campaign? And so putting our knowledge and our resources to work, we decided to form the first ever PAC, super PAC, to support a Nigerian candidate. And we worked with a SAN in Nigeria that's located in Abuja. We worked with a law firm that works a lot with the Democratic Party here in the United States in DC, that helps with the formation of a lot of the super PACs for the Obama campaign, Hillary Clinton campaign, etc. And we formed Nigeria We Can. It's a 527 political organization formed primarily for the diaspora to pool their resources together for candidates that espouse their values. People like His Excellency Peter Obi, people like His Excellency Valentine Ozigbo, and many others, right? Now, His Excellency talked about the regulatory regime. The benefit of an organization like Nigeria We Can is no matter how much we all collectively pool, let's say, as he mentioned, 200,000 Nigerians donate $50 to $100, small donation. All that money raised for a political purpose is not taxable. It falls under an exception under the IRS regulatory regime where it's not taxable at all. Now, if you don't do that, many people are unaware of this, but if you don't do that, let's say you individually pool, let's say $250,000, the IRS can actually come after you and say, well, we're looking at that as income because it wasn't pooled properly through the right vehicle. And so now you owe us 30% or 36% of those monies. And it's actually happened in the past dispensation where a group of Nigerians came together to raise money for a candidate. And then the person that was sort of where the money domiciled got a letter from the IRS saying he owes money. So having an organization like Nigeria We Can gets rid of all of that. Okay. Now, it's unlike a 501c3. The donations are not tax deductible, but the monies raised are not taxable. Now, in order to get that benefit, you have to go through a rigorous regulatory regime, which means you have to report to the IRS every quarter how much money has been raised, where those monies raised came from, and where that money is going. So as His Excellency mentioned about the transparency, gone are the days where people say, well, where did this money come from and where did it go? It's all public information. And the whole idea behind it is to give us all an opportunity to do something. So many of us want to do something, but we don't know how to do it or how best to do it. Through Nigeria We Can, you can get a candidate that you support, that you believe in, and you say, okay, I can go to Starbucks today, or I can give $25 to this candidate. And you can do so through Nigeria We Can, seamlessly. And so it's all about empowering the diaspora, giving us all an opportunity to become actively involved in the running of our country, and hopefully making a difference. And we made a splash during the last go-round. We learned a lot of lessons learned, and we are proud to be working with the Vito Foundation going forward on this effort.
Okay, thank you so much. That was fantastic. I mean, it's very, very curious, not curious. It's very informative of how you guys work really hard to get such a mechanism where people can't pay taxes on it, even though it's not tax deductible. So that's an additional incentive for people to donate to it. So we're really appreciative. And maybe one of these days we'll invite your team to come also talk to us and other groups we belong to, because at this point there needs to be a lot of coalition of different support groups. We can't really be doing things individually. Okay, thank you very much. Dan, I think this presentation covers Dan's slide, or does Dan need to present?
Yes, it does. So it can be test run. If Dr. Cordelia has her card, she can actually get something tested right now.
All right.
So, Cheta, please, before you continue, can we please ask you to, be consistent with this timing issue?
Yeah.
And also, if the last speaker can liaise with you or the DADA Secretariat, send us a letter so we see how we can unify both organizations.
Yeah, I was going to ask, after Dan's presentation, I was going to ask Mr. Ozigbo how much time he has. We want to be very considerate of him. So we'll know how many questions we have, like, I think 9 more people raised their hands up. So
we can take all. We can take all.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but and then if we can advise our people, please, if your question has already been answered, don't duplicate it, please. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, is Dan there, Daniel?
Let's see if Dan is still here.
So I'm here. You don't only take Ogaval into consideration. I take also some of us who need to go to work tomorrow.
Okay.
Who need to go to work tomorrow. I think I shared something on the, if we look at the chat room, I shared a link there. I also shared it on DADA officials WhatsApp group. So the link of Niger Weekend is there, but I think I can, what do we do? Okay, yes, let me see. Can I share? No? Okay, yes, I can. Okay. We have, wait. There it is. Am I sharing something?
Oh, yeah, we can see you.
But it appears I cannot see my. I'm looking at the. I'm watching what you're doing on YouTube. Sorry. Instead of watching on the. I was trying to make sure that the YouTube is fine. Forgive me. Oh, so. Okay, let me minimize YouTube. Can you stop sharing? Let me understand what is coming.
You actually did the right thing, just that you were in a different tab. You already had the QR code as one of the tabs.
Okay. Let me go back again. I wasn't seeing it. That was why I was looking at our YouTube instead of watching what you are doing. Okay, I have it back now. Okay, so here we go. Yep. Here we go. So so you can either send a message to 53555. And then I guess that will give you the link, right? Or you can do scan. You can do scan code, and basically it will take you through. Yes, isn't it?
Yes, you can just.
You can just do scan code.
Scan that code.
Yes, or you can send a message to VCO on 53555, and then it will show you how to send the donation, and that is all in real time. So as you were sending the money, it will be showing, for instance, Lawrence Wangwa gave $200 5 days ago. Fred gave $100 5 days ago. You can actually log in if you're registered to see how many people have actually donated. You can see the names of people who have given what. So I think it's a very brilliant thing that we can we can actually contact Nexus and have further conversation on this, because this is actually what we were looking for during the.
If anybody can actually just test run this now, even if it's just $10, you will see it on the screen as you are showing right now. That's the whole essence of this. Full transparency.
How do you do that?
Just take your phone, scan the QR code or do the text, and you follow the link. It's that simple.
Yeah.
Okay, you scan.
Send the text to VCO on 53555. You get the link, log in as I've just logged in here, or you can do a scan code and do the same thing.
That is it.
Meanwhile, you can leave the screen. Let's see if anybody does it while other people can go ahead and ask questions now.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, Dr. Cordelia, if you're gonna do it, just let us know how it goes.
I'm gonna do it now.
All right. Let's
Okay.
take I think it's Dr. Giaco. Mr. Giaco, a question, please. I've unmuted you. Please, let's keep our questions below 1 minute. Questions and comments below 1 minute. Mr. Jack, are you there?
Okay, I've muted myself now. Thank you.
Okay.
Are you hearing me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Val, we are happy to have you speak to us today. And you made very, very salient points. How to avoid transactional people from being elected because they will never give us any opportunity to grow. How to use technology to achieve our goals. That you made a very, very strong point because every other person like me in Nigeria is an illiterate in technology, but those of us in the diaspora have everything to go for them. Maybe it could have done us some magic. But the question I really want to ask, how are you going to stop say INEC from from committing hitch in correcting in declaring election results? Did I make any sense in the question?
Can you repeat that again?
I said the question I'm asking is how would anybody successfully stop, say, INEC from in correcting declaring election results?
Okay. I think I understand you. Basically, how do we stop INEC from manipulating the results and doing the right thing?
That's right.
It's a combination of factors, quite frankly. I already responded to this in a different way. I am talking about what we can do. First and foremost, we should be very forceful about. I noticed somebody donated anonymously, by the way, but it's not showing because it's anonymous. Anyway, I'll go back to you, Mr. Ojiako. So INEC is an institution ideally that should be run properly with integrity. And if you know the amount of resources voted on INEC, if you know the amount of support from NGOs and from development partners, and it's an embarrassment when things like what happened in the last 2023 election happened. However, while we fret about it, while we get upset about it, I'm also saying because we allowed it. The way I usually, when they think they can get away with murder, they can commit murder. But when they know they can't, so let's not give INEC impression anymore that they can get away with anything. And it's us coming up to take certain steps. They wanted to steal Abia results, by the way. They wanted to steal, Kano results. It was obvious to everybody who understood what was going on, but they couldn't. How do we stop them? It is, number one, win overwhelmingly. Come out, vote massively when the time comes. Protect those votes. Use technology to declare the result. Put them under pressure. And also take the fight to them. Let them understand that they can't just do any nonsense going further. Nigeria should be more active. And if we do this, those will be fantastic. But let's even take it to another level. Let's insist that the electoral act be changed, be updated, be improved upon, and let's shift from electronic collation to electronic voting. And that way, we actually can get things done. We can get things done. Daniel Lumba, thank you. I see that you've successfully put in $10 there. Thank you. Yeah, you can see it was 2005 before, now it's 2016. So there's already, and this is how transparent this can be. And forever, you can always go back and check what Dan did. And that's the beauty of this. So that's it, my dear Mr. Ojako. We can do a number of things, but I'm even advocating for extreme of it, where INEC forever, irrespective of who mans INEC, will cease to be redundant, will cease to be active in terms of manipulation. And that is bringing in, Nexus, thank you, did something again. So that's my answer to you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir, for the answer you've given. But indeed, I wanted to make comments, really not question. That's why I was struggling to put it. But I'm happy the way you have answered. Let me make it clear. Unless
Dr. Cordelia, thank you. Finally, you lived up to expectation.
Now, I think we are going away from our declaration here to point out exactly what to do. I'm suggesting that an institution like DADA should be supported. And the only support we can give it is through institutions like yours, your foundation, supporting them to train people for these things. You prepare in advance. They don't have to do it directly. They use very many foundations that are here and there to train people who are committed to the cause of changing Nigeria, making Nigeria governable. As it is, if we should start contributing money to politicians to do what they should do, they will go back to what they know best, and that is stealing the money and being corrupt as they have been. This is a fact. It's not negotiable. So what I suggest is people registering with DADA, organizations supporting DADA to set up institutions and foundations that will grow. You train people to do these things. I'm giving an example. At my age, I'm not about running into politics now, but I'm saying that we can train young people to man the tomorrow of Nigeria to be what we want it to be. As for today, we have lost it, and I'm serious.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Jacko. You're totally on point, because that's one of the reasons why we formed DADA. And please, everybody, you can look at the comment section. You can see Kevin has dropped a lot of links on how you can join us, so that we can work towards achieving these democratic ideals. It's a marathon. It's not a race, and we need to start. Thank you again, Mr. Ojako. So moving now. Mr. Ozigbo, I don't think you answered the question from Dr. Cordelia about the e-voting you talked about with the blockchain technology. Is that you're going to support people to make this a bill in National Assembly and change? And if you are going to do that, then what is the practical? How is this going to be feasible?
Hello.
This is not
Iboko, you need to mute your line though. All right. There are many ways we can approach this. We can do this first at the national level, where we get the amendments being proposed to incorporate this as one of the things that INEC will need to buy into and use the civil society, the citizens, to champion it, to make sure it's actually done. But I'm actually going beyond that to say to the likes of African Union, it's not just about Nigeria alone. This is something we must do. So I'm actually engaging them. We're scheduling a meeting to talk about this. How can they enforce this across the continent? So we can all fire on all cylinders, and we can get it started in one country. We make those proposals. Once it's working, we'll move for adoption. And there are ways to, if we get the likes of FDB, Afrexim Bank, FC, it can become part of. If you don't sign up to this, you don't get any funding, you don't get any support. There are ways we can champion it, and we're also open to ideas. If I can't claim to be a monopolist of idea here, but the point is, this is something we have to do. And when we come together like this, particularly in a smaller setting, we can go deeper into this. A few things I don't want to share openly here. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Please, we're going to take, because Mr. Ozigbo said he's willing to take all these questions, and I have 8 questions here. Please be very considerate. Keep your questions and comments less than 1 minute, please. Mr. Yusuf Dambaki. Are you there, Mr. Yusuf?
He muted himself again.
I'll ask you to mute.
He keeps muting himself. What is it?
Yeah, sorry, excuse me. I'm trying to donate, but I'm not sure. Can you share the screen again? I want to make sure it went through. I can't confirm whether I went through from here.
Okay. Can we do Mr. Palike? I'm done. Can you share the screen for Dr. Chukwudi? Can we do Mr. Palike next? This is Mr.
Hello?
Yusuf. Are you Mr. Yusuf? Are you unmuted now?
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm unmuted. Okay. Good evening again, once again, Your Excellency, and then all other persons here. My question is this. I think we are, anyway, I'm tuning in from Kaduna State in Nigeria. Now, I think we are living ignorantly believing that an ordinary Nigerian knows something about good governance. My question, Your Excellency, is what can the diaspora do to create awareness on what good governance is? Because most Nigerians have never tested it. They don't know what it looks like. But our brothers in diaspora, at least they've been to develop democracy. They know what it looks like. So what can they do to create awareness? Owing to the fact that even the obedient movement that happened in Nigeria in the last election happened mostly in the urban areas. It has not reached the rural areas. So how can we take this obedient message to the rural areas? Just to add to it again, you know that the obedience are not coordinated in 2023 until now. So what do we do? Are we going to leave obedience like sheep without shepherds, or there'll be some kind of coordination to give it a direction? And let me also use this opportunity to appreciate the Nigerians in diaspora. In the 2023 election, I worked with so many of them that have sent a lot of money to Nigeria. But I must tell you that this money was mismanaged. And some of this money will have to go through the party, and it never got to the agent. It never got to the agent because of corruption. So what measure would you recommend that these monies that are coming in from the diaspora gets to the agent? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Yusuf.
Thank you so much. But three very important questions. You know, it sounds funny, but what you said is actually applicable across board. Many people don't actually know how to define quality governance. You'll be shocked that when a governor pays salary, people are clapping. You'll be shocked that when a governor awards a contract for road construction, people are clapping. And, you know, it's sad because we have been so used to the bad stuff that any little thing that happens, when some crumbs fall off the table of some of the leaders, we're clapping. But it takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of effort from everybody, every sector, every stakeholder. Us at home, diaspora, the urban, the rural, the knowledgeable, the illiterates. There are a lot of things we have to do, and in different ways. A lot of advocacy, a lot of training, a lot of awareness, a lot of publicity, a lot of advertising, and particularly when you have the right, candidates going to those villages to campaign, the message is coming from him. Nobody has done this much than Peter Obi in the last election. Nobody. He took his message everywhere. Yes, I can even say it's not enough, but over time, it will transcend. It will go down over time. So I have a simple, let me encourage us. It usually should start that way. It is usually the urban areas that will catch fire. Then eventually it will trickle down to the local areas. I want to use what happened in Anambra as an example. When we were doing the state elections, State House of Assembly elections last year, what we find out, the incumbent governor succeeded in, almost taking the results. I don't want to say he didn't win, but they took the results from the rural areas mostly. They failed in the urban areas. Why? Because in those urban areas, people are independent-minded. They are, once they make up their mind, this is where they're going, that's where they're going. Money doesn't shift. But in the rural community, because of hunger, that's where money plays a major role. So this is usually what happened. And because good candidates usually are not those who are stealing money, they don't have as much money to go down and do as much as these people who are into palliative politics can do. All of a sudden, they can buy 3 truckloads of rice to distribute, and you may not be able to match them. And it's not meant to be such that you have to spend that much, but you need some basic resources. In all, these efforts we're making today, we're talking about getting the right person and getting people to galvanize around him will begin to change all this trajectory. The awareness will be broader, will be faster. Please, it is that important. What I'm discussing here is not about Valentine Ozigbo, my foundation. No, but it's a culture that must take deep roots. And when it happens, when we find a good candidate in Kaduna, we will come back here and canvass for him and get the crowd to rally around him, so that because we will be confident that he will get there to do the right thing. On the issue of coordination to obedience, again, you're right. There's a lot of work to be done. But in Anambra State, we actually, I don't want to say that we're taking the lead. We are harmonizing obedience, local government by local government. You go to a particular local government, you see up to 30, 40, 50, 60 different obedient groups. How do you deal with 60 groups? If you're a candidate, you can't. So come together on your own, coalesce, and then have a superstructure for that local government. Who is your coordinator? So that you can streamline the way, and you still keep your individuality of this obedient group. We're not saying collapse everything into one, but have a harmonious way of relating among yourselves. And if we've done this in over 11 or 12, in fact, today, I did one in my local government I got yesterday was believe me enough, and that's how we're going. And before soon, sooner than later, we're done with the 21 local governments in Anambra. And we will eventually have an obedient ecosystem where we can bring top leaders to now speak to this harmonized structure. And this can be replicated across other states in Nigeria. And so we can have a more formidable team to really be a force for good. And then on the mismanagement of money, we have spoken about it already. If you go through this type of channel we're talking about now, if we decide that there's a fundraising for an activity, a project, if we decide we want to do a power project, to put some solar or a water project in Kaduna, and we decide to use this platform, and it's no longer a case money has been donated, given to Valentine, in the process, stories coming. No, the whole thing is set up. We know where the money has gone into. Of course, if eventually the money gets into wrong hand, that'll be unfortunate, where the right person is the wrong hand. But what is important is that money must go to the right person. That's what we're trying to solve here. And we hope that because of the transparency, openness, that everybody will now be forced to do what is right. Thank you.
Thank you. Cheta, please, can I come in here just a little bit as to Mr. Yusufu's request for how to bring up potential good leaders in Africa. DADA, one of DADA's main objectives is training, bringing up youths who can be good leaders in the future. We are collaborating with organizations, political activist organizations all over Africa, to see how we can probably put together a conference on that same topic, and then invite everybody to that conference, and then let them know, at least from professionals, what good governance is going to look like. That's just one thing. So the main thing there is, if you have an organization and you want to register with DADA, you can register with DADA. Let us have your name in our register. So when we're putting these conferences together, you will be invited to the conference, and we can select leaders from there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Martin. And thank you, Mr. Ozigbo. We have 9 questions here, and I know the last person to have his hand up is Mr. Patrick Okafor. We're not going to take more people after this. So Mr. Martin Okpalike, please, can you unmute? Please keep your comments less than 1 minute.
Unless if they're donating.
Yeah, but this is not a donation forum, primarily. So let's, Mr. Okpalike, I've asked you to unmute. Are you on mute now, Mr. Okpalike?
Do you want to take Mr. Solomon while he's...
Okay, yes, I'm on mute. Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Please go ahead. Less than a minute, please. Your comments and questions.
All right. Good evening, His Excellency, and thank you, DADA, for organizing this discussion. I just have a remark and several questions, but maybe I will keep it short. My remark is on patriotism. His Excellency mentioned that as part of the ingredients, and he brought in the examples of the Jewish people and the Indians, and all these examples of how people have viewed the nation. I firmly believe in what His Excellency outlined. But the problem that I see is that we are not patriotic. And I really mean this across board, because I have had conversation with a lot of diasporans, people in Nigeria. What I do not see is that, what I see is that people do not love the country. You do not see anybody who says, I love Nigeria, I want to make Nigeria better. So how do we get people to love this country? How do we get people to love their village? How do we get people to love Abuelu? I'm from the village called Abuelu, Agwata. How do I get my people to love this place? To me, that is fundamentally the ingredients in changing who we are. Because all these people we are mentioning, the Jewish people, the Indian people, they do love this place. They love being Jewish. They love it. That's why they want to change it. We do not love ourselves. In fact, there's someone who actually said something in the column in the comment section and said, "Are you really thinking Nigeria will be good?" That's exactly what we are. Do we really love? I believe that the day that we all start loving the nation, we all start loving my village, your town, your local government, state. That is the day we change the country. So that's my remark. So on the questions, if this is for you, Your Excellency, and I think I've mentioned this, in the last forum we were in. How do we bring in new voters to register? I don't know the process. Is there a way? I know that you are not campaigning yet, but I believe strongly that one of the ways that you win this next election is that we bring in new people to vote.
Okay.
So how do we make this happen? So that's one question. So the second question is, have you looked into leveraging or mimicking social media in terms of creating maybe a brand new website, something else where we can all come together? Let's have this conversation. Let's have these things. I know you have a forum like this, but I probably shouldn't be saying this open, but anyway, but can we have that? Because we need to have this conversation started. We have to engage people. There should be a forum where these things are happening. And then anyway, I think I should stop there.
Yes,
Because
thank
I
you.
have several questions. Let me stop there. Thank you, Your Excellency. I'm sorry that we're keeping you up late, but thank you.
No problem. Thank you so much, Dr. Palike. I hear your message of love, and I love it because my name is Valentine. You know the meaning of Valentine, so so you're preaching me. However, it's almost like a chicken and egg situation. Which should come first? You love your country and then the change happens, or you orchestrate the change and then the love happens. My dear brother, nobody's ready to love any country until we do the right thing. Then the love will come. Just this evening, it was heartening listening to Abia people talking about how they now love Abba, how they love Abia. That's what I'm talking about. Every Abia man is proud to be from Abia because Alex Otti is doing the right thing. Let's get more Alex Otti and you see the love. Why did you even believe that people will gather together and support a man without structure? It happened because P2B was there. Find the right candidate. That's what we're trying to do in my state, Anambra State. Guess what? Go look at momentum we're building already. My dear brother, follow those templates. Get the right leadership. Be the active citizen. And that's patriotism when you're active as a citizen and have the right culture. Then the love will follow. On new voters, there's usually there's a window of period when that will happen. We are going to sit down and have this conversation again. Diaspora will play a major role because that's going to be a game changer. We have seen that the younger generation of voters usually take better decisions, and that the heart of the obedient world anywhere. So we will do everything to get them recruited at the appropriate time. And then, of course, social media is our bread and butter. So take it for granted. I will keep intensifying and improving in our usage of social media. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ozigbo. It's approaching almost midnight in Nigeria. Please, let's be considerate of time here. Prince Solomon, I think your hand is already up and you're unmuted.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I want to thank Mr. Valentine Ozigbo. Can you hear me clearly?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, thank you very much. I want to thank you, sir, for what you've enumerated, and I want to thank everybody on the call tonight. let me start by when the first question you answer. Let me make my remark, then I ask my question. I will be very snappy. But I want to permit, yes, please just allow me, please, so I don't forget what I want to say. I want to permit, because I don't beg around the questions. I like hitting the hammer at the head, saying it the way it is. I don't pamper words. When you were starting to answer the question, you said, if we are serious, what happened? That was the remark you used in answering the first question. What happened in the past will not repeat itself. And I want to start there by saying that exactly what happened, which you said, why the nation or the powers that be, why they were afraid of losing Kanu is based on what will happen. And I can tell you vividly that Nigerians, the judiciary, the INEC, that is not afraid of any individual, we are afraid of what will happen at that point if the obedience react the way we were, ready to react. But lo and behold, our Oga said, let me use the word, killed our morale. Because politics in Nigeria is not a one-way traffic thing. You don't just come by being too much gentleman. And you said, if we are serious, what happened again will not happen. What happened before will not happen again. Now, sir, you made mention of we galvanizing our efforts. Let me go to the House of Assembly members and the senators and the federal reps. Initially, we didn't have them. But today, we have so many of them in these places. What is being done to be able to harmonize them? If we are still going to run under Labour Party, those things we are saying we didn't have in the time past, having people in the rural areas, having, our agents, or building a real political structure in those across Nigeria. Today that we have people who can finance this thing, are they doing it? Some time ago, I said, let me land. I said, our Oga can bring these people together around table, and they will be contributing something. Dr. Cordelia said, not people talking to more, but contributing money. The people that flew under the backbone of Mr. P2B and they were elected, what are they doing to build this Labour Party, if that is the platform our Oga is going to run again? Because why? Labour Party, the kind of problem that Labour Party is having now, a court pronouncement after election can nullify everything we do. It had happened in the time past that after election, court said that the platform that PDP ran, it happened in Zamfara, is not the legal one, and everybody lost its seat. Both governors, House of Assembly, everybody lost. So my own suggestion is that based on what is happening in Labour Party, people glamoring to, this leadership, can't our Oga have his own newborn baby political platform that all obedience can back him up, rebuild it in all Nigeria, in all aspects, in all local government, in all wards, so that we can use it to, go for the election? That is one question. Then two, the second question is this.
You have to be brief, please. You have to be brief. Please, I'm sorry.
I've not spoken to the length that so many other people spoke earlier. I hope you know that.
Relax, Solomon.
You have to be brief.
We are running short of time now.
You have to be considerate.
Meanwhile, thank you. Meanwhile, I'm talking from Abia, the only state that won the election.
Maurice shouldn't talk. But Solomon, let me go ahead and respond to you. See, the first thing you raised has been a debate. Some people would argue, oh, it was PO that made us not react the way we should have reacted. Some also argue, no, if you were serious, you would have reacted irrespective of whatever PO has said. And I don't know which school of thought or debate should win. Let me remind you, there was a time some people were accusing obedience of insulting them. And PO also wanted us to be more civil. What did we tell PO then? Oga, follow your lane, mind your business, leave us obedience. We had to do what we had to do. Is that not how we responded?
Actually,
my dear friend, if you know what is right, do what is right. That's what I will say to you. When the time comes, do what is right. And sometimes we also protect our generals. when we're going to war, we don't just put them in the forefront. We protect our generals. I want you to read in between the line. I won't say more than that.
I'm getting you quite clear. Yeah.
Now,
Okay.
for the National Assembly, I'll say this to you. You're right to some extent, but I've also had to listen to some of them, and I feel for them. I see their handicap. I'm not making an excuse for them. I believe some of them have become same and the same. They've become as transactional as the people we're trying to change.
Oh,
hold on, relax. Please, meet Prince Solomon and So some of them are actually failing in their duties, but there are also some that are making us proud. But when I have tried to engage them to say, why are we not expecting enough? How come you are accepting everything the way they are? You actually find that it's a big struggle to be in the National Assembly as an opposition. Because there, a lot of these guys went into all manner of borrowing to win their cases in appeal court because a lot of things are still wrong. And they're still as transactional, so they could, even get their own selves together. How much more remember their constituency? How much more remember their party? When you get to know a lot of details, sometimes you actually have some sympathy. The answer to this is having the critical mass and taking over government so that real leadership will come to bear. There are some leadership just by, there's something we call management by walking around. Just the fact that a man like Peter B is up there, behaviors will shift, changes will happen. So while I am not happy with some of what is going on, let's not be too critical. Let's keep trudging along. Let's get what we are looking at. And I feel that more will be inspired. There'll be a competition for what is good in the future. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Mr. Ozigbo. Mr. Mazi Okoye. Mazi Okoye.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Val Ozigbo. Thank you for coming to talk to us. I'll just give you these figures from the last Anambra election. Soludo won that election by 112,229 votes, whereby you came second with 53,807 votes, and APC and YPP came fourth or fifth. And one of the factors that I believe that contributed to this sort of, should I say, weird and, I don't know, low voter turnout is violence. What kind of structures do you have in place with regards to addressing, violence in elections in Nigeria? Are you gonna buy thugs? Are you gonna, intimidate people? Are you desperate? We always hear Peter B say that he's not desperate to be the president of Nigeria, but he's desperate to see Nigeria work. What is your own take? Are you desperate to be governor?
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mazi Okoye.
Thank you, Mazi. Just like Peter B will also respond to you, I'm desperate to see a change happen in my state. I'm not desperate to be governor. And if you wish to also be part of that desperation for change, come on board. Maybe I will hire you as my special advisor on security. So you can advise me whether buying thugs should be the best thing to do. But for now, last election, 2021, it's not just about the turnout you reeled out, it's also about the manipulation that happened. That was the first advent of beavers. A lot of things happened. And I can tell you there's been a lot of shifts from then. In 2023, Peter B won over 600,000 votes out of Anambra State. That's a remarkable departure from 2021. Even if we are able to replicate the same number, that means indeed there'll be a room for more participation by Anambra people. And by the time we also do new voter registration, who says we can't even get up to 1 million votes out of Anambra? Don't forget, INEC registered voters database shows Anambra 2.7 million votes. But we also know a lot of those are dead number because there must have been duplicity in the INEC database. However, I think that at a minimum, at least 1 million votes can be generated. If you also want to understand why the election happened the way it happened in 2021, let me remind you that. Hello? Anyway, I think I'm also trying to avoid talking about anything that may appear to be like I'm campaigning yet. But the good news here is that a lot has shifted. That was PDP, now it's Labour Party. The P2B you saw then is not the P2B of today. The Val you saw then is not Val of today. And thank God that the current governor is actually campaigning for us as we speak by the way he's performing. And at the appropriate time, I'll give you enough reason why the table is going to turn and turn for good. But if I go into it, I will run the risk of campaigning. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Ozigbo. Next is Honorable Getsamani Ugochukwu. You're muted. Please keep.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Ozigbo. My name is Getsamani Ugochukwu. I'm going to keep it very short. I had a lot of things you said. I know you didn't answer one question that the last guy spoke to, probably for best reasons. He asked you if it's necessary for P2B to start a new party, considering his national appeal and to what's going on in Labour Party.
Was that the question? Who asked this question?
That was the person before the last guy. The last person, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the last. Yeah, I was interested to hear what you wanted to say on that.
Okay.
However, yes. However, I am the president here in the United States of One the Number Nzukondibo Law Enforcement and Armed Forces Association, and part of the reasons why that association was formed was to assist the Southeast in particular to deal with the issues of insecurity and hopefully influence a reform in the Nigerian security apparatus. So you came from Anambra, which is one of the heartbeat of the Southeast. Southeast is severely unsafe to some extent. What is your vision to help to turn, to untie the insecurity? Because I think if Southeast remain unstable, it might be difficult for P2B probably to start playing at the national level if our house is on fire. So the question to you is this: what are your visions to help if you become the governor, to work with other Southeastern governors to restore security? As an association, we are always willing to assist in those areas. And by the way, I'll be donating, as encouraged by Dr. Cordelia, to the Niger we can.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much. About the need to register a new party, quite frankly, I know that discussions have been on as to, do we just run with Labour Party as a singular vehicle? Do we run as a Labour Party with coalition from other people from other parties? Or do we actually do that coalition using another vehicle or a brand new vehicle? There's a conversation around all that. I can't preempt it. I don't know how it's going to end. For now, all we know is Labour Party, and that's our party, until anything changes. The idea here is to take appropriate steps to make sure we win the next election. And if it means that we need to coalesce with some other people of like minds, why not? It wouldn't mean going into any of these other old parties that we are looking to change. And then for insecurity, I would actually like to play a video that I'm about to release today. But for the benefit of this question, I'm going to try to get it on. So let's continue to take other questions. So I can, let me see how I can get it up before the meeting ends. Go ahead with other questions. Thank you.
Okay, fantastic. Dubem Anumba, can you unmute, please? I'm asking you to unmute.
Yeah. Okay. Good evening, everybody, and all protocols observed. So my name is Dr. Mrs. Dubem Anumba. My question, actually, I have several questions to ask, but I will make it brief.
1 minute, please. Yes.
Yeah. My first question is: this Diaspora Action for Democracy, is this the organization that helped that worked with Mr. Peter the last time? That's number one question. Because why I'm asking is that I was a very active member of that organization. I met Mr. Valentine Ozigbo in that in one of the outings that we had. I was there with P2B. I participated actively. I donated my time and money, but eventually I don't know how everything happened. The last meeting we had with Mr. P2B, we asked him, please tell us promptly, exactly how will the result come out to be? Do you have evidence that you won the election? It was not clear with us. So I'm such a person that really like to be very clearly informed about what is going on. And I must commend that. I love it that Mr. Valentine Ozigbo has his own account where his donation is going to. That is I love that. But I want to know if this Diaspora organization was the one that helped Mr. P2B. And number two, how do you change the understanding of Nigerians regarding what the government should do?
Listen, can you repeat that number one again?
My number one question is this Diaspora Action for Democracy in Africa the same organization that helped Mr. P2B, at least when he came to the United States? I'm calling from California, and I was one of the members who worked so hard for Mr. P2B, and we had several meetings with him. So, but I want to know if this organization was the organization that helped him.
Yeah, sorry, the short answer to your question is no, because the organization started after the elections.
Okay.
So, and it's a kind of
because I wasn't impressed at all with that organization at all. So okay.
And then your number two question is
my number two question is, I said the other comment is that I love that Mr. Valentine Ozigbo has his own organization that he's working, and I want him to make sure that anybody he brings there or any organization that he's working with is very forthcoming, very honest, and reliable. That's my advice. Number two, how do you get the mass? How do you educate the masses, especially in Nigeria, on what their position is in Nigeria versus what the elected officials are? The understanding between the taxpayers and elected officers, because the elected officers are supposed to be servants. They're supposed to serve the masses. But Nigerians don't understand. How do we, because they need to understand the difference and what their position is. Because I'm saying this because when I went to Nigeria, last time I visited Nigeria, though I was in the midst of people discussing about how somebody made a promise for 3 million or 3 billion to be reimbursed later on. And some of the people were, and I asked, what is, I asked them to explain to me what was going on after the explanation. And I asked them, what is your opinion about the politicians, the supporters asking for 3 billion naira from the governor or from the governor, and they said it was an agreement.
Yes,
he should pay the agreement. So I
was going to say somebody asked that question before. Basically, how do you educate Nigerians on what to expect from good governance?
Yeah, not only to understand their position.
Okay.
I see every day, governors and whatever they call them, trying to show scrappy roads they build in Nigeria, and people will be dancing on the street.
Yes, absolutely.
They use the money that people don't even have to celebrate them. And I'm like, why would people go and attempt such such thing instead of telling them, good, you did it. That's not even enough for us.
Right. We have
so
to stop.
How would you educate the people to understand? Because that's the beginning. If every one of us is corrupt, there is nothing will change. The education has to start from. So please answer me. How would you educate the masses? That's all. How will you get the education across the masses?
All right, thank you. All right, over to you, Mr. Val. So,
thank you so much. My simple answer to this is you have to do things to get the citizens exposed, aware, trained to understand their rights. There was a lot of education last year, particularly coming from P2B's campaign style. It's an employer-employee relationship. Whenever we talk about holding leaders accountable, that's it. But there's also another way. When you have signposts of good governance in some places, these help to embarrass bad leaders. I don't even need to do any campaign in Anambra. All I need to say is go to Abia. That is done. So you can't just come and be talking long grammar. So when there are examples, people make those comparisons. Go there and learn, go there and copy. And that's what I'll say to you. It's a task before all of us. We all need to keep educating. And what I tell people is, let the knowledgeable people, particularly people in the urban areas, help to educate those in the rural areas. After all, it's our parents, it's our brothers, our sisters that are in the rural communities, and we interact. So that interaction should also lead to us educating them that by paying salaries is not doing anybody any favor. When a governor does the road, it hasn't done it with some family money. In fact, question, let's dig into that building road. You'll be shocked that out of the 2 billion, maybe it's only 1 billion that was used actually for building the road. You'll be shocked that indeed, half of that money, 25%, 50% of that money has been pilfered. You'll be shocked that maybe there was not even quality assurance in building of the road, and within one rainy season, the road is gone. Making those demands, and that's what I love the obedience for. We have tried our best in that regard, but we can do even more. I have lent my voice in this. I've done a couple of videos. There's one that will go out tomorrow. and this is particularly with regards to insecurity. Hopefully it gets downloaded before we finish. It's about 10 minutes long. I played, and that ends our meeting today. But
okay.
We all need to hold our leaders accountable. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Mr. Sahid Adeleye, I've been asking you to unmute. Can you unmute now?
Can you hear me?
The audio is terrible.
Yeah, we can't hear you. Your audio is crackly.
How about now? Hello?
Is better?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay, well, I just wanted to say a big thank you to the organizers and acknowledge the contribution so far by Mr. Val. Just one question for him is, would he be running again? And if he will be running, you know.
Sorry, who is that? Can we mute her?
Yeah, hello? Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, Mr. Sunday, you are not speaking yet, please.
Yeah, I'm.
Go ahead, please. The person I was talking, please go ahead. Mr. Sahid, are you still there?
It appears as if
Okay, yes, I am. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. Your question, please.
Okay, yes. So again, thank you all. I just wanted to, have him throw it open to everyone if he's going to be running again in this local state. I mean, it's important for us to have, reference models like him. And if it will be, we don't need to wait until, the election season. We can start doing quite a few to support, as someone said earlier on. Getting to educate, the citizens is a fundamental step to take, and what are some of his plans for that, so we can all see how we can rally around it. Again, thank you for the opportunity, and well done all.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, the same question or similar question, Mr. Ozigbo, is basically asking education of the citizens. How do you intend to undertake that?
Yeah, well, my dear brother, yes, I have made this public already that I'll be running for the governorship next year under Labour Party. And there will be a lot of education. Part of what we intend to do with the proceeds of the support, even now, is education, awareness, working with the people at the grassroots to see that they understand what governance should be, what their role should be, and how they can be part of bringing about the change. And I'm certain that we will be able to set new standards with what we're planning for next year. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Sunday, you can talk now. I've asked you to unmute.
Okay. Thank you very much. So, I thank God that we are all alive to witness and see what is going on in Nigeria and in Africa as a whole. But when you come to Anambra State, which is my state, sometimes I'm so surprised. But one way or the other, I'm not surprised. That if what is going on in Anambra State is something that people that knows how Anambra State is or was when P2B was in power, and what Anambra State was when P2B is in power in Anambra State. When you look at what is going on in Anambra State now, and what is going on in Igbo land as a whole, you ask yourself, why is it that we are in this problem going on? An Igbo man is crying about what the federal is doing to the Anambra state or to the eastern side of Nigeria. But when you look at it very well, you will see that the problem is from the Igbo people who are getting $1 or 1 penny from Nigeria and then selling their own people or killing their own people. All what is going on in Nigeria for how many years now? I've not seen where a northern governor is inviting the military to come and kill his people upon what is going on over there. But in Igbo land, a governor in eastern side of Nigeria will be inviting military, inviting police, inviting everybody. Instead of him, he knows what is going on. Instead of him to address it, he wants to stay in power. He wants to benefit the federal.
Okay.
Why are we doing this to ourselves?
Okay, but
look at what happened with Peter Obi in the election last year. Every human being who understands the election know that Peter Obi won that election hands down. But I'm telling you that what happened in the rigging and so on is sanctioned by the the Igbos, who doesn't want Peter Obi to come up. But that is by the way.
So what's the question? So I understand
my
your
question is,
yeah.
Ozigbo, I happen to be in the same school with him far back in the 80s. Ozigbo, if you remember where he's coming from, he's supposed to be working with his brother, Peter Obi, for them to be able to gather the Igbos together to work for themselves. No northern or no western person can work for the Igbos. The Igbos have to work for themselves. What are you doing for you to make sure that Igbos work for themselves?
Okay.
That's my question.
All right, so thank you so much. Over to you, Mr. Ozigbo.
Thank you so much. This is a very loaded question, but I will say this to you. Everything we represent, everything we've been doing is basically this. The entire message of this night is telling you that our story can change. And we in the East particularly have a lot to contribute towards changing that story, changing it for ourselves, changing it for Nigeria, and changing it for the entire Black race. And to do this, we must get a few things right. How we recruit leadership is important because it has to be designed, it has to be strategic, it has to be consistent. You don't want to have a Val Ozigbo, Peter Obi, and they're out of the race, out of power, and then it gets messed up again. There has to be Utontochi. We've got to make sure that we keep it going. And the way to do it is to institutionalize proper democracy, where the masses will put people in power and those there will be held accountable until we're able to perfect it. What we are talking about will be a mirage. And when we do it right, you will see the Igbos working for the Igbos. You know, I don't know, I mean, there are many ways I can look at this same question, but I know that we are running out of time. So please, if you, I'm not sure if we're still in touch. If I have my number, I can go into more details later on. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. We're getting to the final thing here. Mr. Daniel Audu, are you there? Can you unmute? I'm asking you to unmute.
I'm there. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Please, less than a minute, please.
All right. I want to go straight to the point, all protocols being observed. My question goes like this. Pertaining to how to see that we have a fair election in Nigeria, and should I say a credible election in Nigeria. That is what we are primarily really working towards. I am Daniel Williams Audu from Niger State speaking. Looking at let me use my state as an example. The last election that occurred, being that a lot of people, let's say Labour Party people, put their trust all in the Labour Party and they worked for Labour Party. And the agents that were even the little stipends, they were not even working for the money, but they were promised that, okay, if you work, this is the wage they are going to get. And even a single 5 naira, 1 naira was not given. And there are people that they contributed a lot to see that at least just a stipend was given to them. But some set of people sat down on that money and they ate it. And I'll not lie to you, a lot of people were weighed down because of that. So now what plan do we have towards reviving that the desire that they have to work for it? They sacrifice, they are not working for money. They say Labour Party does not give shishi, yes, and they are still ready to work. But now a lot of people are discouraged, saying that that means Labour Party is even worse than APC. Because even APC says no matter how they should do, they will still, but they will even still pay their addition. But if Labour Party they could sit down and eat agent money peacefully and nothing happened, then which plan are we taking to see that we address such kind of issue from happening in the forthcoming election?
Okay, thank you. Basically, it's asking how do we make sure that monies people donate for electioneering doesn't people don't sit on it and misappropriate it. And in the past experience has really demoralized a lot of people.
Yeah, I understand. Again, it's actually diaspora, technology, and resources. These are the things we've been talking about. If we do what is right and we do it right, you'll get the answer that is right. As I tell you, first of all, let's gather the money. Let it be enough. Number two, identify the right people, have the right structure on ground, train them, and deploy the money effectively in training and empowering them. And then number three is, basically to also have the right people who are in that same race with you in other places, who can actually on their own hold their own forts. And with that, we democratize these things and use technology. We can in today's world, press of a button, get accounts credited in thousands of places when we want to train or empower or equip people for the purpose of manning elections for us. So the answers are there. We will keep improving. I think the concern you raised generally about our party is something we've spoken about already. And over time, I believe things will take shape. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Last question is Mr. Patrick Okafor. Last question from the people that raised their hands, and then we'll just pick the few questions that are in the chat really quickly. So, Mr. Okafor, are you there? Please, can you ask a question?
I'm here. Good evening, everyone. Mine is just commendation and a few suggestions. So I don't really intend to take your time. First of all, I would like to commend DADA and the VCO and NWC collaboration for this wonderful initiative. I've been listening to the discussions on this platform, and the recurring issue on ECHO here seems to be about educating masses about good governance. But I would like to also mention that there is a responsibility that is attached to that. Now, somebody mentioned about the KANU significance because of their resolve, which makes it different from the general obedience as to why KANU result was able to be declared, but it was not so for P2B. But underlying that resolve is actually strategy. So the point is that we as obedience and Nigerians in general who desire positive social change need to do something. And that is, we need to go away from this lack of strategy, because that is what happened with the obedience. So therefore, to achieve this, I think DADA came at a very right time, because I see, in fact, I was envisaging a platform like DADA, and that's their emergence really has really strengthened my resolve. And in the long term, the collaboration you can have with VCO and NWC would do what I expect should be done, which is the need to collaborate on civic education and participation. You know, we are talking about good governance. How do we educate the people? How do we show the people? How do we make these people understand? But it is platforms like this that should carry out this objective. Mr. Valentine Ozigbo has done his bit by providing himself as a very competent candidate. And when he was made to answer a question about how to tell people or educate people what good governance is about, he just simply said, look at Abia State, which is correct. We know what good governance is about. Then we already have a competent candidate. What do we have to do in this case? We have a duty to educate these people on the importance of electing competent candidates into elective offices. And it is platforms like this, DADA, and your collaborations that will take the message by organizing programs down to the grassroots levels. It is very, very important, because this is where we are lacking. This is where the point is missing. What happens when your vote is being threatened? What is the risk that you're going to face for the next 4 years when the wrong person enters power? What are you going to do to challenge that as a person? And it's something that is related to that is, even those that are in power right now, they need to be, the people in the grassroots need to be educated about the importance of calling their elective representatives to account. If you need the cost of your goods or the cost of things to come down, pressure your representative and make him, represent you properly in the National Assembly. So I think DADA and other group can collaborate to drive home these points. Now, coming back to this platform, we all in this platform, we are desirous of change. I'm concluding. Yes, we are desirous of change. That makes all of us on this platform change agents. So we should be cognizant of that fact. We have a role to play in our various communities. We have a role to play towards that. So let us keep that in mind, so that we don't huge a lot of questions that may not, be directly related to Val's position, while we have our own responsibilities to perform. So thank you.
I think you mentioned the NWC and VCO. What are those?
NWC is Nigeria We Can.
Oh, okay, that's the abbreviations. Okay. Yes, thank you so much for your submission. It might be interesting for you to know that this is education of the populace is one of the core goals for DADA. So thank you for bringing that up, and definitely that's something we're working on moving forward. Mr. Val, do you have anything to add? Mr. Ozigbo, do you have anything to add to what he said, or we'll move to
no. Meanwhile, the video is ready, so whenever we're done with the chat questions, we can just play that and people can exit from there. Yeah.
Okay, good. Do you want to, because the questions are not that many in the chat, do you want to write them down when I read them out? So that way we don't.
I should go there?
No, I'll read them out and you can
read them out and we'll just have a quick response to them.
Exactly. Okay, so there are a lot of comments there, I'll say inspirational, educational comments, which if you have time, you can look through, but I'll just read through the questions here. So Mr. Oscar Ugogana said, what is the Nigerian dream and what are the plans you do prefer for Nigerian renaissance? Then the other comments there, then we'll just go into the questions here. Again, we have a lot of The links to join DADA is there in the comment section. And so let's see. So we need to teach our decolonize Africa. So that's a general comment. And keep going down here. I saw somebody raise this hand. Please, you can put your question in the comment section. We're no longer taking questions of people who raise their hands. Okay. So people are saying good presentation. They're thanking you for participating. They're very appreciative that you had an inspirational talk here. Somebody said, do we have a Nigerian dream? Sincerely speaking, that's the same Mr. Ghana, do we have a Nigerian dream? And then let's keep going down here. There's somebody has, okay, somebody talked about obedient movement. What is it again? Mr. Matthew Augustine talking about the Obedient Movement Harmonization Committee and how they can help. And he has a lot of comments talking about that here. So I think let's see, somebody said, yes, there's need to decentralize Labour Party executive from state level to local government to ward level, especially in Anambra. And decentralizing these votes will help secure the votes. And there is need to guide the party against party members who will sell out the party votes, as was observed in the last election. So this is Anambra specific. And can you, so somebody had a very interesting question. Mr. Christopher here said, people would like to, can you explain in 1 minute? Okay, well, he's talking about DADA, I think, why they should join DADA, which Kevin will talk about later at the end of this presentation. Okay. Election from Mr. Chuma. Election is about campaigning, voting, protection of your votes, declaration of results, uploading your victory through the courts. Which of these areas do you have a hold on? Do you anticipate a fair and level playing field going up against those, his words, animals in power? Somebody had, he said, follow-up question, is Mr. Val Ozigbo working on behalf of His Excellency P2B? He wants you to be clear about that. And yes, I think it's, the rest are really more of.
So let me just speak generally on this. I think the major thing there is about the Nigerian dream. And really, when we talk about any country dream, it's really about first having a competitive society, a livable, prosperous society where the citizens are happy. To achieve this is about getting leadership working. It's about getting citizenship to hold leadership accountable. And it's about winning into our fabric a culture of continuous improvement. So we keep doing better and better and evolve as a people. That's what I can call the Nigerian dream. You can define it in many, many other ways. And when people also talk about election process, whether it's the campaign, the winning and protecting, it's always good to work with worst case scenario, where you're going into a football match and you think that the referee is going to be against you. How do you still win? And that's the mindset we're going to use in approaching the future elections. And am I working on behalf of P2B? I honestly don't understand the question. Even when I was working with P2B, I was working for myself. What do I mean by that? I want a better Nigeria. So what I do it for myself. Even when you find me with him. I don't think any of us should be working for anybody. We should be working for ourselves, because that's when you get more passionate. That's when you assume responsibility. And that's when you show highest level of commitment. So should I play the video now or what?
Yeah, just one last question. Somebody dropped in here. What are the strategies or policies do you envision implementing to ensure continuity and sustainability of development projects in Nigeria, regardless of political affiliations or changes in leadership, when you become governor?
Succession planning is, for me, a major factor when I am assessing leadership. I have managed 2 PLCs, and it's all about corporate governance. It's all about, being proactive, identifying who possible successors are, and getting them trained, prepared, equipped. They have the right orientation, so that when they take over, they continue in that vision of the predecessor. And when we get this right across board, then there will be less abandonment of projects, and you can start something and hero that for a long time. And this is what actually has helped countries like China and co, where they have a Nigerian project, a Chinese project, an Anambra project, irrespective of who is in power. And we keep driving it across board and measuring how we are progressing from time to time. So it's all about succession planning, and we can do it right. We've done it in the past in the private sector. We can bring that learning, the lessons we learn from there, into the public office.
Thank you. On that fantastic note, we're going to close out the question and answer session. Thank you so much.
Before I play the video, I want to say a big thank you to all of you. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for your time. It's been an honor. It's been a privilege. I am so excited to have been part of this. And so in case I don't have any chance to say this again, particularly those of you who trusted us to make those donations. And yes, it wasn't a fundraising night, but we wanted you to see how it works. And I'm glad we were able to showcase that. God bless you all. And here's the video you're seeing for the first time. This video hasn't been released. In fact, it was sent to me, the final cut, while this call is going on. That's why I had to try to download it and all that. It speaks to the question on insecurity. It's such an important thing for me because that's our #1 priority. So I didn't want to dilute the answer. I wanted to share a carefully thought through response. And here is it. Thank you. Are you seeing my screen?
Yes, we can. The volume, though.
The audio is not on, just only the picture.
Oh, the audio is not coming?
Yeah.
You can read the transcript.
If you go to the extreme end and think there's a loudspeaker thing there, click it, let's see what. No. Back. 2 more icons back. No.
Yeah.
No. One more to the left, another one to the left, and the next one. Yeah, that one there, yes. What is this? Yeah, it's supposed to be playing. It's 100%. So I don't know why it's not playing.
And actually, I ticked on share sound. Let me stop and start again. I hope it plays this time. Share sound, yes.
Well, while we're waiting for that anyway, for those of us who are still here.
Message. What even shocked me was
now he's talking.
Insecurity deserves a lot of attention and positive action in Anambra.
Okay.
What happened there?
Who's Lawrence?
Who is Lawrence sharing screen again?
Oh dear.
Right, let's see.
Lawrence is a co-host. Why was he want to share his screen? I don't know why.
Lawrence, can you turn off your screen sharing, please?
Ranging insecurity deserves a lot of attention.
I still see my screen. I still seeing Lawrence.
No, we're seeing you.
Okay, so I can go back.
Positive action in Anambra State. I've gone around different parts of Anambra, visited a lot of prominent Anambra citizens and residents, and interacted with a lot of the masses at the grassroots. I can clearly say that security is our #1 priority. I've visited many cities in the US and Canada recently, spoken to a number of other diasporas in other continents, the same feedback. Even common sense should tell us that the importance of security of lives and properties can be overemphasized. I did a video recently calling on the attention of the governor on this same issue. What did I get in return? Backlashing, loyalists and aides of the governor, some arranging for placards and protests instead of paying attention to my message. What even shocked me was one of the aides taking on Arise TV to announce that only roads are important as first, second, and third priority, as if nothing else is important. I do not want to reel out statistics. All I'll be scaring more people away. But we have to be able to speak truth to ourselves. Onye Anambra ọbụla chọgodole dị ndụ tupu ekwube ihe ndị ọzọ. Beyond this, Section 14, Subsection 2B of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, clearly says that security and welfare of the people shall be the primary purpose of government, and government at all levels. Billions are devoted as security votes, again recognizing the importance. Onye chọrọ idezi obodo ga-edezi obodo. Amaghị m ihe a na-ekwu gbasara this. I want to say this to everybody. Ihe bụrụ na ị marogodo ihe a ga-eme jenu jụọ ndị mmanụ. In announcing his 5 solution pillars on his inauguration, the governor said this.
Our detailed plan rests on 5 key pillars. The first is law and order, and that is homeland peace and security. We will celebrate when security of life and property is guaranteed and law and order is restored.
Yet not much has changed. In fact, it's gotten worse, if you ask me. We're still being bedeviled by kidnapping for ransom, banditry, farmers' herders, clashes, cult and drug-related criminality, and communal disputes here and there. Some even orchestrated by government. Let me say this. The governor has fallen short squarely. Governor Soludo has clearly broken the contract with Anambra people, which are encapsulated in his governing documents from Anambra Vision 2070, 50-year development plan to the Soludo Solution, and then the Transition Committee in the combined report. Ndị egbugolo, ndị kidnapugolo, ndị repugolo, bụkwanụ ndị ụmụ mmadụ, ụmụnne mmadụ, nwunye mmadụ, di mmadụ, nne na nna mmadụ. Biko, obi umeala ka anyị ga-eji lụọ ọrụ a. Obi mwute, obi mmadụ na ibe ya ka anyị ga-eji dezi obodo. Ihe anyị ga-eme dị anyị n'aka. It is time for us to speak up and urge the government, advise the government, encourage the government, and also do our own part as citizens. Let's take the governor by his own word.
All the stakeholders must now review both the narrative and the action plan. For starters, I totally endorse the recent statement of March 7th this year by the joint body of Southeast Council of Traditional Rulers and Bishops and Archbishops on the peace and conflict resolution, requesting for a tripartite discussion between them, the presidency, and the Southeast governors to deal with the conflicts in the Southeast, especially in relation to Nnamdi Kanu and indigenous people of Biafra. There is no conflict that dialogue in good faith cannot resolve. Our government is determined to urgently restore peace and security in Anambra, and we will seek active collaboration and cooperation of all stakeholders.
Here, I'm not even aware of any single dialogue that has taken place. Certainly not in my local government, his local government, Agwata, not in Obaru or Ihiala or Newi, because I've made inquiries. People who should be involved in such conversation, they are not involved. A few days ago, I was even at Dora Konyele Development Center, Oka, for a security summit organized by Honorable Nigeria Henry Bachu, who is representing Okasa 1 on the platform of Labour Party. And I didn't see any member of Governor Soludo's government in attendance. despite being invited, despite the fact that it was held in the state capital to discuss insecurity. Another task he gave himself to amend and implement Anambra State Security Trust Fund Law 2010, which an amendment law of 2018.
We shall embark on massive training and social re-engineering to win our people off the world unproductive ways. As a humane government, we shall endeavor to offer alternative opportunities to the revenue house.
This has been done. I'm not aware of any amendment yet. Have a zero tolerance on cultism, harassment, and extortion of citizens in the market and roads of Anambra. Zero tolerance indeed. You're seeing all the mayhem going on in the markets in different places. Kita kandia bidolo ichobodo. Unlike what the governor is preaching. It hurts me when politicians break their promises flagrantly because you know what? We all get tempted as being the same. Nkozo Okulu, work with the federal government on state security and provision of adequate logistics and material support to security agencies in the state. J. John this in our security, Anambra draw her how much attention, how much resources, how much support are they getting? They will tell you that not enough attention is being paid. Provide support to traditional rulers, this is another one, and president generals to give them enhanced roles in maintaining peace and security in their communities. This is very important. However, John Digwe and the PG Hagagwage that Alumelo. Ahapun Kata Aganakba. What we hear, you didn't vote for me, and so I won't pay attention to you. You're not an ABGA member, so you cannot be a PG. Ndigwe should not give chieftaincy title because they haven't got approval yet from the governor. These are not the things that are important. Pay attention to these issues of security. And I'm not saying this because I want to be critical of government, because it pains me. I've been a victim of these things. Look at the performance indices on his personally assigned goals. The governor has been very tall on rhetoric and short on execution. In some cases, he's the direct cause of the disorder. For instance, even before he fully settled down as governor, he made it look like he was in conflict with vigilantes and trade unions. Last February, for instance, he publicly announced part of the problem we experience is that many of the vigilante operatives take oaths with criminals. They were infiltrated. How many of these are in charge of community vigilantes reside in their communities? What he failed to realize is that when it comes to issues of security, certain truths are better left off the public domain. What is required are firm, resolute, and sustainable decisions and actions to execute things outside of public glare, but which will enhance the well-being of the people. It is becoming crystal clear that there is no solution by Soludo to the issue of insecurity in Anambra State. It is either he thinks words alone would make insecurity go away, or he doesn't even think it deserves enough attention, which is not good enough. Going forward, let's pay attention to this part. We must begin now to solve the problem even before his tenure ends next year, because I am among mother negable victims. First, we have to understand that people normally take to crime when they feel hopeless about the future. The governor has to be a source of hope in words and in deeds. To build hope, you must earn the trust of the people. Governor should speak less and do more. He should be empathetic, genuine, and humble, and come to the level of Ndi Anambra. The next is to create jobs. Jobs and jobs. Let people get busy, not only to benefit individuals, but also for community development and economic growth. Government can't do this alone, obviously. It needs to again engage the private sector, so we can put them in place, from power to infrastructure, whatever. All these things are very crucial. When we take issues of insecurity seriously, you'll see private sector wake up. This will foster a sense of purpose and belonging, reducing the motivation for criminal behavior born out of desperation. Clearly, lack of good governance is a key contributor to criminality, and I understand this as part of governance and corporate strategy. With this, therefore, it is possible to demarcate between Ndi Anambra that turn to crime out of hopelessness and outright criminals wheeled into criminality. We will then begin to take battles into the camps and hiders and abode of the criminals. We have seen this done before under the leadership of our leader,
What happened
Mr.
again?
Peter Obi. So when I say this, I'm not talking about some unimaginary things. This has been done in Anambra State. This goes, with creating a law and order society. To achieve this, we need due process in instituting leadership at grassroots level. It's not enough to just succumb to pressure to organize local government election, for instance. We have to do that on time, transparently, and fairly. We must be able to mobilize the joint efforts of security agencies, the Nigerian police, DSS, armed forces, civil defense, vigilante services. I've devoted my time to understanding this. With these agencies, if we engage them well, pursue collaborative strategies, we must be able to cement the ideals of community policing, as it is very clear and is also very dear to my heart that a major plank of solving the security challenges Anambra State faces is through internal security, working together within the Anambra at grassroots level. All the crimes we talk about, from kidnappings, lawlessness, and what have you, happen at the community level. So we must solve them at community level. We must empower them, we must equip them, we must train them. This ensures that everyone participates in the process of protecting themselves, securing their lives by themselves at their community level. The current reactive posture must give way to a bold, proactive stance that relies on more reliable information and actionable real-time intelligence for crime prevention. There should be training and retraining of members of the AVS and the security services in this direction for effective discharge of their duties. The security architecture of Anambra State must be made to work from the Anambra and not exist in rhetorics. In the Anambra, most importantly, I understand very well the imperative of regional approach to tackling insecurity in the states. It is the failure to work together and adopt a common approach that has emboldened the criminals. They jump from one state to another instead of us working together to chase them concurrently. Criminals are chased up in one state, they move to the other. And this is what I believe Governor Oti is doing in Abia State, which is why he's succeeding, working collaboratively with his neighbors so that they can tackle insecurity head on, no matter where they find themselves. Anambra, biko ka nkwudebe mbọsị nta ka achụọ na Walenchi. Onye ọbụla mmalụ nke ọ ga-eme biko ya bido mebi ya ozugbo. Ihe anyị na-ekwukwana bụ na ọ dịgo njọ ka olugo mgbọ ga-ejizi dị mma. Otu aka o ji dịba njọ ya dịzi anụ mma. Osite tata dịba ọ dịbụ. Onye ọbụla gbaa mbọ nke ya, ndị nne na nna, ụmụaka nye na aka. We need Anambra to be a better society, a better ecosystem where lives, where entrepreneurship will grow, where the youths can unleash their potential. And when we do this, we can once more be proud of Anambra State. God bless you. Thank you.
Can I do my thank you?
Yes, Dr. Cordelia, please, if you want to go ahead.
So thank you, Chief Ozigbo. How come your picture is there, my friend Martin, and not mine for thank you? I don't know how to put my picture on top of there.
Well, we are
Help me
seeing
put
you.
my picture so I can give my thank you remark.
Well, we are seeing you, Dr. Cordelia.
Oh, you see me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right. So, Chief Ozigbo, thank you very much. You're always a passionate, thought-provoking speaker, and I always learn something new whenever you speak. I appeal again to Nigerians in diaspora to take a page from Trump supporters, majority of whom are poor on welfare and on fixed income, donating monthly to causes they believe in. So diaspora, please do the same. Donate. Start today. May God Almighty continue to give us the courage and the perseverance to make a change in the right direction in Nigeria. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Cordelia.
So much. Thank you.
Just to round up, we'll be having our brief DADA monthly meeting. It's just going to be very brief. Other participants in this conference, if you really want to log off, you can log off. But I just want to say just a word of advice to Nigerians and Chief Ozigbo, Mr. Val, just that the major problem we have in that country called Nigeria is accountability, transparency, and check and balance. And I don't see it in any aspect of our life, including local government. So please, let's take that into consideration. And I thank you again all for joining this meeting, and may God bless you. Thank you. So if you're not a DADA member, or if you want to be a DADA member, you're free to stay in for our monthly meeting. Thank you, which is going to be for like 10 minutes. So we'll take a recess of about 5 minutes and then we'll come back. Thank you.
All right. Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Right.
I think it's about 10 minutes now. We just get started so we can wrap up quickly. Well, welcome again to our general meeting. We're going to try to make this very brief because we've been in meeting now for over 4 hours. That's a long time. Ladies and gentlemen, we start the meeting with just a brief overview of our bank account, which is just one single statement anyway. As at March 31st, we have a balance of $2,931.84. I think it's an increase of about $100. Second item is the 501c filing update. There's really no update to give on that. It's still pending. We've not had anything from the IRS. I've been calling and they just keep pushing me from one person to the other. I've tried to reach Dr. Iherjika. I've not been very successful in contacting him. I think the major items we have today is if we have any other plans for 2024 action plan that we need to discuss, and then the DADA committee and our membership dues. I know we had promised to bring a list of the up-to-date due payment, but it's still being put together. As soon as we get that, we're going to publish it in our platform. Having said that, I don't know if there's any contribution as to our action plan because I don't have any other action plan except for this conference at this time. I would have loved to include training of political leadership conference, but I don't think we have the funds for that at the moment. Members who, attendees who are still online and would like to join DADA, I believe our secretariat has been posting the links on how to join DADA, and I'm going to try to put in my contact information on the chat. You can contact me or Kelvin can put in his contact information. You can contact him and we'll be able to join you to the group so you can get more information. The DADA committees, it was only Daniel Lumba that has indicated interest in joining the the committee for Constitution and Communication Committee. No other person has really indicated any interest. Unfortunately, our chairman has been absent for a while, so I don't know if we need to say something about that. I don't really have much for today. So the floor is open to the members, please. Yeah, Mr. Ojako has something to say. Let me ask you to unmute. Mr. Ojako, can you please?
Yes,
okay,
sir, I've
unmuted.
unmuted.
Okay. All right.
I want to thank you for the way you people are going. I think DADA is a necessity, a committee that is supposed to be out and running, and a foundation, an organization that's supposed to be running for Africa. And having worked for Africa for a number of years, I'm not boasting about that. I think I should belong there. And therefore, you personally tell me what I'm supposed to do, and then through you, I will give the money you pay for me and register me as a member. I told you that when I was calling you today, that I will do this way. Once you get back to me and tell me what to do, one-to-one, I don't have, then I will do it and put my name there. As time goes on, what you people are saying, you know, these things are new technology, IT intensive. And having had my job done some 10 years back, I think technology needs to get into my life again for me to be part of the communication system and be as effective as I'm supposed to be. And that is an area we need to look at. When I was canvassing that people should pay into DADA, it is the only organization that will have the capacity to bring good governance, checks and balances in any country. There is no question about it. I'm talking from a personal experience, which is long and strong and due. Yes, Nigeria is a very peculiar case. Unless Nigeria moves, Africa is wasting time, it's not going anywhere. And unless the southeast of Nigeria, which is the powerhouse of ideas of so many things in Nigeria, moves and moves and moves, and then they let them move, then we can head to somewhere. I purposely asked the question about hitch occurring in elections. He wouldn't have any answer. I knew he wouldn't have any answer to that. When people have said, this is what we want, and they have the power and they do it, what will you do? It's like when people are saying, oh, Niger has sacked the French, and I ask them every day, this is between us. I hope it's not being aired, you know, Zoomed or whatever outside this circle. I suppose your meeting is not being transmitted anywhere.
No, I think that has stopped.
Okay.
They're no longer recording.
When Niger says they have sacked the French, they have gone. If the French decide to use force on them, what would they do? Yes, things are bad at the way it is now because they think they have support. When the die comes to the die, all those people that are pretending they will support them, they will all disappear. Nobody wants his country destroyed. And here I include both Russia and all those powers that are giving them support. The same thing is happening in Nigeria. What is wrong with Nigeria is that a system has put itself in place that dictates what happens. And when they say this is what we want, that happens. If the election result was announced, we know who would have won it. It was not announced because it was stopped. And they called it a hitch. A hitch is a hitch. And a hitch will keep occurring until we find an answer. And the answer is here. One, set up